Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and in this segment, I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance and the causes. Now, the reason why I'm going to rehash that information is because last week, when I went on the air live, and that was my first live stream. I was just testing it out. Wanted to see who was going to come up here and wanted to see how I actually sounded. Shout out to brother Deacon Dave. Welcome to the chat. Hope you're going to enjoy this chat. You're going to get a lot of education here because I'm going to go into some psychology here. And, just like everybody else, I want you to hit the Cash App. We can hit the Cash App. Now, listen, I am not putting the hat out for people to dip in their wallet to make me a rich man. But if you're here on this channel, definitely support it. Here on this channel, I'm going to provide you with the necessary information that you need. And when I do that, just bring your friends and family to this channel. And if you have any other channels out there, particularly my audience, well, I'll put the link. Let me know what your channel is. I'll put the link in the comment section. And want everybody to go subscribe to it. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to share my screen and I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance. And thank goodness I have it up this time. So I'm going to share it. Now, when I talk about cognitive dissonance, I'm basically talking about a term used to describe the mental discomfort from the results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. Now, I say that because people tend to consistently, in their attitudes, people seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions. So this conflicts causes and feelings of unease and discomfort. Now, let me go over what I'm actually saying to you. When we deal with cognitive dissonance, you're basically having two conflictual issues. And when issues conflict, that brings up unease and discomfort. Now, the inconsistency between what people believe and how they believe motivates people to engage in actions that will help minimize feelings of discomfort. Now, people attempt to relieve this tension in different ways, such as rejecting. Now, let me talk about rejecting. A lot of times when we reject something, we may do it because we feel uneasy about something. Then there's explaining it away. And of course, when we don't want to try anything at all, brand new, we just avoid trying new information or hearing new information. Now, how do you know about this? Because everyone experiences cognitive dissonance to some degree, but that doesn't mean that it is always easy to recognize. Some signs that what you are feeling might be related to dissonance include feeling uncomfortable before doing something or making a decision, trying to justify or rationalize a decision that you've made or an action you've taken, feeling embarrassed or ashamed about something you've done, and trying to hide your actions from other people. And of course, you're always going to experience guilt or regret about something you've done in the past. And of course, you're going to do things because of social pressure or fear of missing out. even if it wasn't something that you wanted to do. Now, what causes cognitive dissonance? Now, once again, I'm going over this information again, and I'm calling it part two here in this live because I didn't get a chance to do it last week because I was testing everything out. Now that I have everything running at full steam, I'm just going to go into it and I'm going to give you all I got right here. Now, I'm going to start with causes. Now, there are a number of different situations that can create conflicts that lead to cognitive dissonance. Now, there's forced compliance. Now, when we deal with forced compliance, sometimes you might find yourself engaging in behaviors that are opposed to your own beliefs due to external expectations, often for work, school, or social situation. Now, I say this because it might involve going along with something due to peer pressure or doing something at work to avoid getting fired. And then we get down to new information. Sometimes learning new information can lead feelings of cognitive dissonance. Now, an example, if you engage in the behavior that you later learn is harmful, it can lead to bad things or bad feelings of discomfort. Now, I say this because when it comes to people with this either they find ways to justify their behaviors or feelings, or they justify behaviors by finding ways to discredit or ignore new information. And when you deal with any types of mental disorder, you have to look at decisions because people make decisions both that are large and small on a daily basis. So when you're faced with two similar choices, people often are left with the feelings of dissonance because both options are equally appealing. Now, I say that because when you do anything in life, you're going to make a choice. So once a choice has been made, however, you have to understand this. People need to find a new way to reduce these feelings of discomfort. And I say that because people accomplish this by justifying why their choice was the best option so they can believe they have made the right decision. Now, of course, it's human nature to always make the right decisions or you want to make the right decision. However, you're not going to always make the right decision. And I say that because there's always going to be some indecisiveness when it comes to making any decision. And sometimes your decisions that you make have influences. Now, the degree of dissonance people experience can depend on a few different factors, including how highly they value a particular belief and the degree to which beliefs are inconsistent. Now, the overall strength of the dissonance can also be influenced by several factors, including the importance that is going to be attached to each belief. Now, cognitions that are more personal, such as beliefs about oneself and highly valued, basically tend to lead to greater dissonance. Now, the number of dissonant beliefs, and I will say this because the more dissonant, and when I talk about dissonance, I'm basically talking about clashing. So the more dissonant or clashing thoughts you have, the greater the strength of the dissonance, because cognitive dissonance can often have a powerful influence on our behaviors and actions because it doesn't just influence how you feel, it also motivates you to take action to reduce feelings of discomfort. Now, when we talk about the impacts, cognitive dissonance can make people, again, feel very uneasy and uncomfortable, particularly if the disparity, I'm just going to say disparity, or the difference between their beliefs and behaviors involves something that is central to their sense of self. For example, behaving in ways that you are not aligned with your personal values may result in intense feelings of discomfort because your behavior often contradicts not just the beliefs you have about the world, but also the beliefs you have about yourself. Now, this discomfort can manifest in a variety of ways. Again, when we have discomforts, they can manifest in a number of ways. So, the impacts of cognitive dissonance will have anxiety, embarrassment, regret, sadness, shame, and stress. Now, I say that because cognitive dissonance can influence how people feel about themselves or how they view themselves. And what happens is when you have cognitive dissonance, it can lead to negative feelings of self esteem and self worth. And why is that? It's because people want to avoid the discomfort. So, cognitive dissonance can have a wide range of effects. Now, dissonance can play a role in how people act, think, and make decisions because they engage in behaviors to adopt attitudes to help relieve the discomfort caused by the conflict. Now, some things that a person might do to cope with these feelings include adopting beliefs and ideas to justify or explain away the conflict between their beliefs and behaviors. Now, this can sometimes involve blaming other people or outside factors. There's also a chance where individuals can hide their beliefs or behaviors from other people because people may feel ashamed of their conflicting beliefs and behaviors. So, hiding the disparity from others can help minimize the feelings of shame and guilt. Also, only seeking out information that confirms their existing beliefs, their phenomenon known as the confirmation bias affects the ability to think critically about a situation, but helps minimize feelings of dissonance. Now, again, people like to believe that they are logical, consistent, and good at making decisions. However, when you have cognitive dissonance, it can of fear, it can interfere, and it can cause fears as well. Because when I talk about social issues or mental health and behavior, there's always there are always other behaviors that can tie into other behaviors. So if you believe that you are right all the time, you're logical all the time, you're consistent, and you're great at making decisions, okay, some are not. However, if you have cognitive dissonance, you have to understand that that can interfere with the perceptions people hold about themselves and their abilities, which is why it can often feel so uncomfortable and unpleasant. Now, with any mental disorder, you have to ask yourself, how do you deal with dissonance? Now, in life, we all run into conflicts. And one of the big items that you hear, particularly at work or in school, is conflict resolution. Well, dissonance is very much conflict. You're dealing with two conflicting views. Now, when there are conflicts between cognitions, which I'm dealing with thoughts, beliefs, and opinions, people will always take steps to reduce the dissonance and feelings of discomfort. And they would go about doing this in different ways, which is very simple. Now, how do you do it is the big question. And I always say when you have to present something, you always have to ask who, what, where, why, and how, and also what. Because even with dealing with dissonance, you have to understand that adding more supportive beliefs that outweigh dissonant beliefs. And I say that because in the real world, people who learn that greenhouse emissions result in global warming might have such feelings of dissonance if they drive gas guzzling vehicles. And I'm not going to get into, I'm just using this as an example, but it is a good example because a lot of us talk about global warming, but we are driving big vehicles. We're flying planes that use up a lot of fuel. Now, if you look at what I just said, I just presented two conflicting views. Okay. On one hand, you talk about something like greenhouse emissions, and on the other hand, you just contradicted yourself. You just conflicted yourself by saying, well, I drive a gas guzzling vehicle. And a lot of us in the real world, we deal with these issues every day and we don't even know it. Now, in order to reduce this dissonance, they may seek out, again, new information that overrides the belief that greenhouse gases contribute to global warming. Now, reducing the importance of the conflicting belief. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use this as an example. You know, a man or a woman that cares about their health might be disturbed to learn that sitting for long periods of time during a day may be linked to a shortened lifespan. Now, since he or she has to work all day in an office and spends a great deal of time sitting, it is difficult to change their behavior. Now, to deal with the feelings of discomfort, he or she might instead find some way of centralizing the conflicting cognition. Now, they may justify their sedentary behavior by saying that their other healthy behaviors, like eating sensibly and occasionally exercising, make up for their large sedentary lifestyle. Now, again, when we deal with cognitive dissonance, that was one instance where individuals wanted to reduce their beliefs. So they believe that one area that's aspect in their life, one aspect of their life is bad. Sometimes individuals believe that they can cover it up by doing something positive. Now listen, when it comes to life, there are a whole lot of challenges. And this is why I bring to you a lot of these behavioral issues, because many of us do see the world from a delusional perspective to make us feel good because we want to be right. We want to make the right decisions. However, many of us have cognitive dissonance. And what I'm doing is bringing you the symptoms and the causes of cognitive dissonance. Now, again, what you got to do as well, besides seeking help, you have to change the conflicting cognition. And a way to do it, and a way of dealing with dissonance, is to perhaps look at, and this is just my opinion. Remember, I am not a psychologist. I am not a psychotherapist. So I get my information, and I'll leave the links. I'll leave the link in the chat if you want to check out the link, because this is very important information. But again, when it comes to beliefs, sometimes you got to change your beliefs. And I'm going to repeat myself again. Changing the conflicting cognition is one of the most effective ways of dealing with dissonance. Again, changing the conflicting cognition, or I'm just going to say changing your belief. It is a good way to deal with dissonance, but it's also one of the most difficult, particularly in the case of deeply held values and beliefs such as religious and political leanings. And I tell you what, politics, particularly in this country right now, that is where a lot of people come to pitfalls when it comes to cognitive dissonance, because when somebody tries to tell them something that is new or that is challenging to their said beliefs, this is when they get an attitude. And this is when you have the downfalls, because sometimes the way people resolve cognitive dissonance can contribute to unhealthy behaviors or simply poor decisions. Now, in a theory of cognitive dissonance, Leon Festinger, who is a psychologist who first described the phenomenon, gave an example of how a person might deal with dissonance related to a health behavior by discussing individuals who continue to smoke, even though they know it is bad for your health. Now, there are a few ways a person might resolve this dissonance. Now, according to Festinger, a person might decide they value smoking more than they value health. Now, that doesn't make any sense, but some people do. Now, deeming the behavior worth it in terms of risk versus rewards. Now, I will tell you this in common sense. The more you smoke, the more years you take off your life. So you really aren't valuing your health. Now, another way to deal with the dissonance is to basically minimize potential drawbacks. And again, I'm utilizing the smoker because the smoker might convince themselves that the negative health effects have been overstated. So they might also assuage their health concerns by believing they cannot avoid every possible risk out there. Now, Festinger also suggested that people might try to convince themselves that if they do stop smoking, they will then gain weight, which also presents health risks as well. Now, by using such explanations, the smoker is able to reduce the dissonance and continue the behavior. Now, along with every mental disorder, particularly cognitive dissonance, in order for you to understand it, you have to have the history. Now, I brought up Leon Festinger because he was a psychologist. Now, he was the one that proposed the theory of cognitive dissonance centered on how people try to reach internal consistency. He suggested that people might have an inner need to ensure that their beliefs and behaviors are consistent with each other. Now, inconsistent or conflicting beliefs lead to disharmony, which people strive to avoid. Now, in his 1937 book, A Theory of Cognitive Dissonance, and you might want to pick a copy of that up or look at it on the internet. Again, all the information I'm giving you, look it up for yourself. Don't believe me because I researched certain items so I can give you an overview of what I'm talking about because cognitive dissonance, according to Festinger, can be seen as an antecedent condition which leads to activity oriented toward dissonance reduction, just as hunger leads toward activity oriented toward hunger reduction. And I say that because it is very, very different motivation from what psychologists are used to dealing with. However, as we shall see, nonetheless powerful. Now, again, what I'm going to say is cognitive dissonance plays a role in many value judgments, decisions, and evaluations. So, becoming more aware of how conflicting beliefs impact the decision making process is particularly a great way to improve your ability to make faster and more accurate choices. Again, here's what you have to understand: mismatching beliefs or conflicting your beliefs. And this is what a number of individuals do. But when you have mismatches between your beliefs and your actions, here's what happens. They tend to lead to feelings of discomfort and, of course, sometimes coping choices that have negative impacts. But such feelings can also lead to growth and change. Now, you know, like I said, um, when it comes to cognitive dissonance, I just given it to you right off. And uh, again, welcome to the chat, everybody. I'm happy that you all have stopped by. I'm gonna be opening up pretty soon so we can have a conversation. I'll drop the link. I'm going to go over something else. Since I didn't do it last week, I'm going to talk about narcissism, and then I'm going to talk about the princess syndrome. So I told you this one was going to be a little bit better than the last stream. So uh, let me open up and talk about I'll talk about the princess syndrome. Now, I did this a long time ago when I talked about the princess syndrome. And I say this when it comes to the princess syndrome. A number of individuals who have daughters, and I will say this, particularly you dads out there, some of you dads out there, well, you love your daughters and you spoil your daughters to death. There's nothing wrong with it, and you'll call them princesses. Now, the problem I see with that is they're going to think they're princesses, and they're going to come up with the attitude of entitlement. And when you believe you have the attitude of entitlement, what's going to basically happen is when your daughter gets out into the real world, they're going to have a lot of problems dealing with people. Because I will say this, you may believe that your kid or your girlfriend or whoever you deem as a princess is important to you, but outside yourself, nobody really cares. So I'm going to give you some information, um, and you'll have to look it up yourself. Again, this is from Psychology Today, and I talked about this a long time ago, the princess syndrome. Now, what you got to do if you have daughters, number one, you got to question the media. Teach your daughter to be an educated consumer and think about the messages that she receives. So when I say that, I'm just going to tell you this. Start to help her formulate questions about the things she wants, why she likes certain celebrities, why appearance may be so important. Help her develop her own ideas about what it means to be strong, independent, and confident, and to seek out similar things within the media. Now, let me go back because I mentioned something about daughters only. No, a number of women should understand that. And I say that because the princess syndrome is real. Um, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you. I just gave you some information on how to solve it. However, the princess syndrome is very, very real, and a number of females have it because you're not going to find this in any medical textbook, but many girls do suffer from princess syndrome daily. Now, any girl who suffers from PS, I'll shorten it to PS, which stands for princess syndrome, lives in a fairy tale world, focusing only on pretty things, putting herself at the center of the universe, and obsessing about her looks, even if she's only headed to the playground. Now, this, although it could be fun and whimsical when a girl is a toddler, it can also set a tone for how she develops into a young woman or how she is as a young woman and even an adult. Because, because what the princess syndrome does, when you develop into a certain type of, well, when you develop into a older woman and you're still delusional, because princess syndrome also has a lot of delusional beliefs and narcissism as well. Well, all of these issues influence her self-esteem, her dependence on others, how she takes care of herself, and how empowered she feels in her life. And I say that because there are messages everywhere presented to girls that being a princess at best and only way to be, especially in today's society with its focus on appearance, having only the finer things and the need to be number one, shows that there is going to be some narcissism and delusion, and she's going to feel entitled. And I say that because I'm not a woman, but it is understandable that girls are having a difficult time deciphering the messages they observe. Now, they're having a hard time because they spend too much time on social media. They spend too much time watching TV. A number of them are going to college and they're believing feminist thought. Their mamas are telling them that you are everything. You tell a man to accept you for who you are and nothing else. They're telling their children don't settle. And a number of women, again, I'm not saying this about all, so I'm using number and percentage, believe that they are everything because of the foundation. And Princess Syndrome, for the most part, if you don't believe me, I'm just going to use common sense on this. It really starts at home. And okay, getting into materials like clothing stores. What do clothing stores do? They sell t shirts that tell them they're too pretty to do their homework. Other stores sell things to 7 to 10-year-olds with slogans on them, such as wink, wink, or eye candy, or even one started selling crotchless underwear for girls within this age range. Now, Abercrombie and Fitch, and they're still around, is a nationally known clothing company, and they sold bikinis with push up tops in them designed for children as young as 5. Now, I think that is horrible because now, living in this culture today, when it comes to a number of women, because you have two types, they're either masculine or there's a lot of thoughdism going on. And when it comes to a man, a true man is not going to want to deal with a woman who has the princess syndrome because that person is never going to be satisfied. They're going to be spoiled. They're going to be delusional, and you can never tell them anything. Now, but when we deal with young girls, how do we tell young girls that they have worth beyond their appearance when pressure on them to do this or look like that begins so young? Well, current research shows that girls as young as 11 are having issues with their bodies. That's funny because even adults, and this is why you get a number of women who have had the fake boobs, a number of women who are getting BBLs. Now, I did tell you that this starts at home. Now, parents often have the misconception that their daughters can avoid being affected by the messages they are receiving. However, unfortunately, it takes an incredible amount of self confidence and self awareness to avoid being seduced by these messages. This is why I say turn off the TV because advertising is incredibly powerful and it impacts all of us at all ages. Now, expecting your daughter at age 3, 4, 5 to understand this is better if you have solid values. And I say this because support system. A support system includes having good friends and a healthy lifestyle in comparison to the princess lifestyle is unrealistic. Now, I just said having good friends is a good support system. However, I'm just going to say this. Many individuals who have the princess lifestyle, and this is just my opinion, not from the article, is totally unrealistic. And I say that because you can't have everything. And I know a number of young ladies have been brought up to say, we can have it all. Well, you ever heard of that old saying? The jack of all trades and the master of none. Well, when you're not mastering anything, you're just wasting time. So when it comes to a parent, it's up to a parent to basically teach their daughter that life doesn't revolve around them. Now, of course, princess syndrome isn't solely about appearance and impaired body image. And I say that because it is also important to consider the other messages that your daughter gets from the fairy tale life. And she may learn that she cannot be self sufficient and that she has to rely on a savior to make it all better. Now, this can include friendships that are vapid and, of course, superficial. Boyfriends who get to dictate to her what she can and cannot do. Now, again, if you're a man, You don't want to deal with anybody that has the princess syndrome, because in the long run, she's going to try to tell you what's good for her and what's good for you, and she doesn't even know what's good for her. And also the lack of internal motivation, because she expects it all to come to her. And I said all to come to her for what? For nothing, because she expects everybody else to do for her while she gives nothing in return, which creates selfishness. And this is what you got going on in the modern day. Now, like I said, I'm not talking about all women. I'm just simply talking about the princess syndrome, because being a princess has its place, because a princess who is empowered to create her kingdom herself. Well, again, there is no such thing as a princess unless you're over in Britain where they have royals, or if you're overseas. So again, the princess syndrome is one that creates a fairy tale life, and it starts young, and it can go into being as old as 60, 70 years old. Now, again, as a parent, you got to teach your daughter how to replace princess symptoms with heroine values. And as you become more aware of the messages in toys, clothing, and television shows, you can begin to share with your daughter and teach her things that help her create a positive, empowered sense of herself. Now, again, I told you about some ways you can correct it. Always question the media. Something else, and this is big here in 2021. Teach her about dressing appropriately. And I say that because everywhere you turn, clothes are getting skimpier and skimpier. Skirts, they have always been getting shorter. Tops are getting tighter. Similarly, clothes that used to be appropriate for teens are now being worn by fifth graders and older people. So if you got a daughter, start teaching her about the messages she sends by the clothes she wears. You certainly are not going to get into a discussion with a 5-year old about what is sexy, although you may, though, talk about what might be more comfortable or easy to wear when playing with her friends and how much fun she will have if she is comfortable. This does not mean thwarting your daughter's individuality or individually and sense of style. Again, you're not thwarting your daughter's individuality and sense of style. It may mean promoting it, but let her be mismatched. She's exploring who she is and having fun doing it. Again, parents, it is your job to teach your kids what to wear, because inappropriate dressing sends the wrong message. You got a lot of guys out here that are looking to smash and dash. And something else, help her find her voice. You got to encourage your daughter to speak up and ask questions. If she sees something she doesn't like a doll or a shirt with a mixed message, support her choice with you to talk about it. Now, if she comes to you with a concern, make time to talk with her. Too often, girls avoid speaking up for fear of damaging relationships. So, the more comfortable they feel about talking to you about their feelings, and the earlier it starts, the more likely they will become able to do it as they develop into teens, which is when you alley when you really want them talking with you. Again, I believe talking to your children, but your children, you have to listen. But in this day and age, you just have to turn off the TV. Remember, when we talk about conformity, it's not always required. Sometimes your daughter is going to want what other kids have just because they have it. Giving into this pressure is very easy to do. So Help guide your daughter to understand that being an individual is good. Encourage her to embrace her differences and even celebrate them. This will only help her as she grows up and develops a strong sense of herself, her likes and dislikes, and she determines what she will do and what she will not do. Now, what I'm saying here is you teach your daughter about the real world. Now, a number of dads, they teach children how the world works, but the problem is a number of moms who've had bad past themselves, they're teaching their daughters about being like them. Now, you have to remember throughout your daughter's development, she will be pulled in lots of directions to act, think, and behave in certain ways. And what do I mean by that? Well, media, music, you have sports, they're big influencers. So, as a parent, it is important to use your influence to direct her toward things that will promote her ability to find the best self and fight the allure of the princess syndrome. So, getting into some princess recovery might be the best way for her to grow into the person she needs to be. Now, like I said, there are a number of individuals who have the princess syndrome, and having the princess syndrome, they don't really realize what's going on here. And what I'm doing is basically giving you an overview. Now, I've done my speaking, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I want individuals to come on up and let's talk about this cognitive dissonance. The link is in the chat. And I just want to make sure that all sides are heard here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show. So some of you would like to come up, come on up. You can be comfortable here. Also, like, share, and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show. And just make sure you get the likes up. This is my second one. Like I said, I still got work to do, but I'm going to give you the best show that I can give you. And salute Osama. Salute Celine. Salute Gemini. Salute anti-social socialite. Salute Mary G. Salute Mr. O. Salute David Erpling. And okay, Gemini says, I'm Gen Y and we're impacted as well. And I hate seeing victims fall to this. Very, very true. Very, very true. It again, when it comes to the newer generation, they are facing a lot of what we've all faced. But what I'm going to tell you is this: you have to watch who you hang around with. You have to question everything. Always question. If you don't question it, then it's going to bite you like a snake. I always say trust, but verify. I've used cognitive dissonance to justify eating pork. It's unhealthy, but it's good, and we have to die from something now. That's exactly what I put out as far as the smoking. Okay. That is definitely cognitive dissonance. Eating pork is not necessarily good for you, but having to die from something, yet we all are going to go one day. However, while you're here, it's always best to take care of your health. If you don't take care of your health, you are going to have a short life to live. Now, I will say this in the long run, when it comes to your life, you got one life to live. You want to take care of that one life. Now, again, I dropped the chat for anybody that wants to come up on the panel and we could talk about this. And we can also talk about other issues as well. But I want to see what you all think about this cognitive dissonance and this princess syndrome. The chat, the link is up. And all right, I got Gemini. Gemini, what do you have to add to this conversation?
Hello.
Hey, what you got to add, my brother?
Hey, first I want to say I'm finally glad I caught you live. I've been watching your videos for about a month. You popped up in my algorithm, and I was just drawn to your commentary and the information that you put out. So, thank you for allowing me to join your platform. I want to say that, you know, I was born in 1987, so I was raised by a baby boomer. And, I don't know, like if my mom, if she had the emotional support that she needed as a child. And so her raising me, she was more of a disciplinarian versus being, versus having like the skill set to emotionally support me. So, in turn, that kind of created this cognitive dissonance within me to where that's like my protection mechanism. And so, I do justify certain things as an adult to not have to deal with the criticism or the judgment that comes from people outside of, my mother or my family and things like that. And I also wanted to talk about like the princess syndrome too, as it relates to like raising Black girls in America. I feel like a lot of our beliefs when it comes to raising our daughters is we have to validate them way much more because the American society kind of pins Black women and Black girls as being, the worst of all and all of these type of things. And so, you know, I find myself constantly like validating her appearance, telling her that she's beautiful and all of these things, just so that she'll know that she is the standard and it's, you're not ugly or anything like that. And I understand that, yeah, it can create the princess syndrome, but I also understand that she's influenced by things that she sees in school, things that she sees on the TV. And those things may not be conducive to who she is as a little girl, a Black little girl, and the type of environment that a healthy environment that I would want her to be exposed to. So I find myself constantly validating her and telling her that she could have it all or whatever, so that she won't grow up feeling less than. So it's like a thin line between parenting that could create the princess syndrome versus validating your little Black girl so that she doesn't fall prey to society's perspective of her. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I have daughters myself, and I understand what you are saying. All my daughters are grown now. I can't tell individuals how to raise their daughters. I mean, we all have a different parenting style, but what I do believe, my brother, is this. I believe that you want to make sure your daughter understands the real world. The problem is a number of us as men. And it's great to love your baby. I mean, at 100%, you should. But when you send her out in the real world, you must understand that just because you love your baby doesn't mean that everybody else loves your baby. However, you want to send her out there with the tools like being appropriately dressed, What has she watched on TV? Now, you're not going to keep them from everything, but you can also keep them from bad people. And that includes bad family members. You know, a, a lot of us, when it comes to family, sometimes we love our families a lot, but we don't look at the darkness in our families. And, as a man, I can tell you I've made my fair share of mistakes when it came to raising children because it is no recipe to raise children. But we have to understand the behaviors. And you know what, brother? Besides daughters, I just mentioned, if you're going out there dating, you might encounter some of these women who have the princess syndrome. You ever run into somebody who is very delusional, very narcissistic? You couldn't tell them anything?
Absolutely. And I think that, um, especially with Black women, I think that it's, and I have to say Black American women, their delusions surrounds religion, Christianity, and things of that nature. Um, these whimsical things that aren't tangible. I don't necessarily know if that's necessarily connected to princess syndrome, but I'm more of a logical type of person, touchy feely. I have to see it, read it, believe it, something like that, and so I do run into those kinds of problems. I have an issue with, like my mom, for example, teaching my children about saying grace before eating and things like that. So yeah, I totally agree.
Well, that is a when it comes to dealing with mom, and I know my mom is still living, and sometimes when you grow up, what your mom has told you, and you don't want to defy your parents,
Right.
but parents sometimes raise us based on how they were raised, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But remember, all generations change. And some of the younger generation, they might not understand the older generation. Now, I'm definitely coming from Gen X, early Gen X. I don't understand the younger generation sometimes. And even when you go into the workforce and you work from somebody for somebody of a different generation, say you work for somebody older or I work for somebody younger, there's always going to be some cross generational conflict because cognitive dissonance, like I just explained to you, brother Gemini, is nothing more than conflict. It's almost uh, it's almost like a contradiction. It's not quite a contradiction because a contradiction is you say one thing and you do the other. Where cognitive dissonance is you have two views. Like you could say, I believe the sky is blue, and if I fly in a plane, I get $100. Now both of those are basically untrue. I'm just using those as examples. Both of those right there are very conflicting. Okay, how you gonna fly and get $100 unless somebody gives you $100? Logically speaking, I'm applying common sense to this. And when somebody tells you the sky is blue, how do you know the sky is blue? And this is why I say you have to question everything, because a lot of us, and particularly men, we let a lot of things go. We don't question it. We have to question it all of the time. And
Exactly. Exactly. I would just say, and like I said, I've been following you for like a month or so. And it's just amazing that I found you because, I agree with a lot of the points that you make and I appreciate the information that you put out. But I have to point out the problem with, a lot of Black people, with the mindset that I have or that you have or anybody else. So many of us don't have that same mindset. So it's kind of hard to be that expressive or to just kind of come out of the box with this type of information, and not be ridiculed or, um, given like ad hominem attacks and, you know, your thoughts and opinions made light of. So we all kind of fall victim to that same cyclical pattern of dysfunction, you know what I mean? And you just have to like stand strong in what you believe in. So, you know, for example, like I kind of recently figured out something that was going on with me mentally, you know, by talking to a specialist or whatever. And so I was so happy about my diagnosis because something finally made sense in my life. And so I reached out to my mom and I told her about it. And I just kind of came clean about, you know, my experiences mentally and, you know, how it made me um, react, you know, in public or just, you know, in general. And she shared with me that, you know, she experiences like the same thoughts and things like that. But she's unwilling or she doesn't want to go and seek help herself. So it's like,
Right.
you know, these baby boomers, they're just a lot of them, a number of them, I like that. A number of them are just unwilling to change. You could tell them these things, but it's just like they've been this way for so long, they don't want to change. Period. So it's just like, what do you do?
Well, what you do is, and I want to say this because I'm a Gen X, because I've run into a number of baby boomers myself, and brother, Gen Xers. Okay, Gen Xers. Okay, sometimes you got to let people sink or swim for themselves. Okay, this is why I don't talk to a lot of individuals about politics. Again, um, when it comes to people out there, what you have, and I'll drop the link again. It's like my boy Gemini dropped. I dropped the link for anybody who wants to come on up. I mean, it's wide open here. Come on up and let me hear your point of view about these topics because they're very important. Now, I got one more topic though to go over. Um, I changed in the middle of the game here. It was going to be narcissism. I decided to do something different. I want to talk about schizophrenia. So let me share my screen and talk about schizophrenia because it is very important. And the overview of schizophrenia is it's basically schizophrenia is a serious mental illness that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. So people with schizophrenia may seem like they have lost touch with reality, which causes significant distress for the individuals. Now, their family members, with their family and friends. Again, people with schizophrenia may seem like they've lost touch with reality, which basically causes significant distress for the individual, their family members, and their friends. Now, this is what makes schizophrenia bad because if it's not treated, the symptoms of schizophrenia can be persistent and disabling. However, effective treatments are available. Now, when delivered in a timely, coordinated and sustained manner, treatment can help affected individuals to engage in school or work, achieve independence, and enjoy personal relationships. Now, when it comes to the onset and symptoms, now schizophrenia is typically diagnosed in the late teen years to the early 30s and tend to emerge earlier in males or late adolescence, early 20s, then females who are in their early 20s and 30s. Now, a diagnosis of schizophrenia often follows the first episode of psychosis because when individuals first display symptoms of schizophrenia, gradual changes in mood, thinking, and social functioning often begin before the first episode of psychosis, usually starting in mid adolescence. Now, schizophrenia can occur in younger children, but it is rare for it to occur before late adolescence. Now, a number of individuals really don't know about schizophrenia, so I'm going to tell you there are symptoms associated with schizophrenia, and they basically fall into three categories. And the categories are now, first category is the psychotic symptoms. Now, when you deal with psychotic symptoms, um, what's included in that recipe is altered perceptions, i.e., changes in vision, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, abnormal thinking, and cold behaviors. So, people with psychotic symptoms may lose a shared sense of reality and experience themselves and the world in a distorted way. Specifically, individuals typically experience hallucinations such as hearing voices or seeing things that aren't there. Then you have, of course, your delusions, which are firmly held beliefs not supported by objective facts, i.e., paranoia, irritational or irrational fears that others are out to get you, which is, again, I call that paranoia, or believing that the television, radio, or internet are broadcasting special messages that require some response. Then you have to worry about thought disorder, which includes unusual thinking or disorganized speech. Then there are negative symptoms. That is another category. And with the negative symptoms, there's a loss of motivation, disinterest or lack of enjoyment in daily activities, social withdrawal, difficulty showing emotions, and difficulty functioning normally. Specifically, individuals typically have reduced motivation and difficulty planning, beginning, and sustaining activities. And of course, there's diminished feelings of pleasures in everyday life. And there's what we call the flat effect or the reduced expression of emotions by way of voice tone. And then you have your reduced speaking. Now, I did tell you earlier that mental disorders, you will hear the name or some part of the name again. Well, when it comes to schizophrenia, guess what the name is that's coming up, or the symptom. Now, I just did cognitive dissonance. Well, when we deal with schizophrenia, the third category is called cognitive symptoms. And basically, when you have cognitive symptoms, you basically have problems with attention, concentration, and memory for some individuals. Now, the cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia can be subtle and are subtle, but for others, they're more prominent and they interfere with activities like following conversations, learning new things, or remembering appointments. Specifically, when individuals have cognitive symptoms, they typically experience difficulty processing information to make decisions, problem using information immediately after learning it, and of course, they have problems or trouble focusing or paying attention. Now, with schizophrenia, there are several factors that contribute to the risk of developing schizophrenia. And first is we all know when it comes to health effects, you have to understand genetics, family history. So when it comes to schizophrenia, it sometimes runs in the families. However, it is important to know that just someone in your family, just because they have it and they're a family member, it doesn't mean that the other members of the family will have it as well. However, genetic studies suggest that many different genes increase the risk of developing schizophrenia, but that no single gene causes the disorder by itself. Why? Because it is not yet possible to use genetic information to predict who will develop schizophrenia. And then you got to talk about the environment because scientists, and this is why science is pertinent, but you got to always question science too, because science has theories as well. Because I believe scientists think that interactions between genetic risk and aspects of an individual's environment play a role in the development of schizophrenia. Because environmental factors that may be involved include living in poverty, stressful surroundings, and exposure to viruses or nutritional problems before birth. Brain structure and function. Now, a lot of your behaviors start in the brain. And when we talk about mental health, we deal with the brain. So scientists think that differences, again, scientists think that the differences in brain structure, function, and interactions amongst chemical messengers, and are called neurotransmitters, may contribute to the development of schizophrenia. For instance, differences in volume of specific components of the brain and the way regions of the brain are connected and work together, and in neurotransmitters, such as dopamine. Again, neurotransmitters. And then you talk about dopamine, or such as dopamine, are basically found in people who have schizophrenia. Now, differences in brain connections and brain circuits seen in people with schizophrenia may begin before birth, or let me simplify it a little bit more. They may develop before birth because changes to the brain that occur during puberty may trigger psychotic episodes in people who are vulnerable to genetics. Now, environmental exposures or the types of brain differences, I've just mentioned them above. And I talk about the brain structure, function, and interactions amongst chemical messengers known as neurotransmitters. Now, again, even for schizophrenia, there are treatments because the causes of schizophrenia are very complex and are not fully understood. So, current treatments they basically focus on managing symptoms and solving problems related to day-to-day functioning. Treatments include antipsychotic medications. Now, antipsychotic medications can help reduce the intensity and frequency of psychotic symptoms. They're usually taken daily in pill or liquid forms. Now, some antipsychotic medications are given as injections once or twice a month, which some individuals find to be more convenient than the daily oral doses. Now, patients whose symptoms do not improve with standard antipsychotic medication basically, or typically receive clozapine. Now, people treated with clozapine must undergo routine blood testing to detect a potentially dangerous side effect that occurs in 1 to 2% of patients. Now, many people who are taking antipsychotic medications have side effects such as weight gain, dry mouth, restlessness, and drowsiness when they start taking these medications. And I will say this, that some of the side effects subside over time, but others just may persist, which may cause people to consider stopping their antipsychotic medication. And suddenly stopping medication can be dangerous and it can make schizophrenia symptoms much worse. So people should not stop taking their antipsychotic medication without talking to a healthcare provider first. Now, as I do this information here on this live stream, I study the information. I am not a health professional. In fact, I'm a civil engineer. If you ask me about doing structures, oh, I don't need a book or anything for that, but I still have to have information to back up what I'm saying. So just remember that. But when it comes to schizophrenia, shared decision making between doctors and patients is basically the recommended strategy for determining the best type of medication, combination, and the right dose. You can find the latest information. I mean, if you're really interested in this information, it's on the FDA website. And the FDA website gives you patient medication guides and newly approved medications. Now, I just gave you the antipsychotic medications. Now, there's the psychosocial treatments. And again, there's something called CBT. CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. And what that includes is behavioral skills training, supported employment, and cognitive remediations or cognitive interventions may help address the negative and cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia. Now, a combination of these therapies and antipsychotic medication is very common. So, psychosocial treatments can be helpful for teaching and improving coping skills to address the everyday challenges of course, schizophrenia. They can help people if you have goals, pursue life's goals such as attending school, working, and forming relationships. And the word relationship comes to mind. And I know here on YouTube, we talk a lot about relationships, but we don't talk about the behaviors, the mental behaviors. There are a number of individuals out there who have schizophrenia. They have princess syndrome. They have entitlement. And I'm talking about, well, men don't have princess syndrome, but men do have egos. Men do have their fair share of schizophrenia as well. If you're going to have a relationship and you haven't seen therapy, don't even get involved because you're never going to pair bond correctly. You always have to take care of your mind. And that's why I do a lot of these mental issues, because there are a lot of us who have mental issues all across the two genders and races out here. So I'm just going to say this: individuals who participate in regular psychosocial treatment are less likely to relapse or be hospitalized. Again, if you want more information on that, check out the psychotherapy's website, and that's on the NIMH website page. Now, what happens if the medicines don't work? What happens if cognitive behavior therapy doesn't work? Then we go back to the good old fashioned family education and support. Because one thing I can see about mental disorders is a number of us are not that educated. We may call somebody crazy, but we don't know why they're crazy. So, educational programs for family members, significant others, and friends offer instruction about schizophrenia symptoms and treatments and strategies for assisting the person with the illness. Now, increasing key supporters' understanding of psychotic symptoms and treatment options, and of course, recovery can also lessen their distress, bolster coping and empowerment, and strengthening their capacity to offer effective assistance. Again, I said a lot in that one statement. When it comes to having any type of disorder, you have to build a person's self-esteem up. Now, we can talk about going to therapy all we want. However, the therapist can give you a suggestion, they can put you on a program, but you got to be able to do the program. And it requires a lot of discipline. There are going to be some sacrifices that you have to make. And if you want to rid or slow down these mental disorders, you need to talk to a good therapist. And even if you don't have the disorders, you should know about them, because I guarantee everybody has something. I can tell you, I get impatient and I get angry. Now, is that a disorder? That's an emotion. However, anger can come from schizophrenia as well, and it could lead to destruction of not only yourself, but somebody else. So, if you have family, I will say this: Family-based services may be provided on an individual basis or through multi-family workshops and, of course, support groups. And then there's also CSC, known as Coordinated Specialty Care. Now, that's a general term to describe recovery-oriented treatment programs for people with first episode of psychosis in the early stage of schizophrenia. Now, what happens with coordinated special care is there are a team of health professionals and specialists that deliver CSC, which includes psychotherapy, medication management, case management, employment and educational support, and family education and support. So, a person with early psychosis, I meant psychosis, not psychosis, correction. A person with early psychosis and the team work together to make treatment decisions involving family members as much as possible. Because if you have a spouse, if you have family, it can be a long haul and you got to be patient when dealing with somebody with schizophrenia. Now, compared to typical care for early psychosis, CSC, which is coordinated specialty care, again, CSC is coordinated specialty care, is more effective at reducing symptoms and improving the quality of life, along with increasing involvement in work or school. And then you have what we call ACT. ACT is assertive community treatment, and it is designed especially for individuals with schizophrenia who are at risk for repeated hospitalizations and homelessness. Now, the key elements of ACT, which ACT is assertive community treatment, include a multidisciplinary team, including a medication prescriber, a shared caseload amongst team members, direct service provision by team members, a high frequency of patient contact, low patient to staff ratios, and outreach to patients in the community. ACT reduces hospitalizations and homelessness amongst individuals with schizophrenia. So, with all that being said, how can somebody help somebody who has schizophrenia? And the only answer I can say is caring for and supporting a loved one with schizophrenia. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be challenging. But here's some things that you can do. First of all, you got to have a little bit of encouragement. Encouragement is very important. Help get them treatment. And then once they have the treatment, help them stay in the treatment. Because some individuals, they'll get impatient and they want to leave the treatment. Let them understand the goals of the treatment. Let them understand the benefits of the treatment. Remember that their beliefs or hallucinations seem very real to them. Also, tell them that you acknowledge that everyone has a right to see things their way. Be respectful, supportive, and kind without tolerating dangerous or inappropriate behavior. Again, some symptoms require immediate emergency care. So your loved one is thinking about harming themselves or others or attempting suicide, you got to call the suicide prevention hotline. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just going to say this. When it comes to schizophrenia, when it comes to Princess syndrome, when it comes to any type of mental disorder, we all need to understand the symptoms. We need to understand the medication. You know, you know, um, at the end of the day, it's very important that you see somebody with any symptom, you get help. I mean, and if you really want to find out more about psychology today is a good source. NIMH is a good source. Somebody that's had schizophrenia or any other issue, because when it comes to mental issues, stress is the main contributor to everything. And we talk about overeating, which an eating disorder can lead to diabetes, could lead to death as well. But again, don't be afraid to come up here to the chat. Come up here to the panel. That's why I do these things. And it's very important. The panel is open. I come on up and we can talk about all these issues. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about just the health issues. We can freestyle it. Been up here an hour and 20 minutes now. So if you got something that you want to talk about, come on up. Otherwise, continue to support this channel. Oh, I got my brother.
What's up, bro?
Brother, little big Nate.
Yeah, I just got home, man. And
hey, man.
saw you up here, and bro, I know what it's like to say, hey, panel's open and nobody's coming
brother,
up.
Brother, I opened my panel. I opened my panel almost an hour ago.
Oh, bro. Oh, shit.
Well, hey, brother, while you're up here, you the king. I thought I could make wrenches on this thing. I'm in the stream yards right now. I can't make wrenches.
All right. Look at your chat. Not the chat in StreamYards, but the chat on the YouTube channel.
Oh, how do I go back to that? Because we can also.
I'll tell you to open up a window. Let me see. You look where you go live up at the top right.
Where it says in broadcast or live.
Yeah. Look for you. There's a drop down that'll let you view on YouTube.
Oh yes, I see it.
You see that? Now click it, and it'll open up the YouTube channel of this broadcast.
Okay.
All right. Now go next to the person's name. You see the 3 dots?
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Make a moderator. Yeah.
It's already got wrenches up there.
Go next to the person's name. Oh, so you already did it.
3 dots. Oh, yeah. Well, Tommy Jean actually helped me with it.
Okay, gotcha. So you got folks that have wrenches.
Yeah. Because
I see. You gave Celine one. Let me see. Yeah, you gave me one too, so you good.
Oh, I was going.
Osamu's in the chat. You gave Celine one. You gotta pause the video.
Oh, the YouTube video.
Yeah, pause the YouTube video. Yeah, so I don't hear it. Yeah.
All right, All right, I paused it.
All right, so there's no noise now. All right. Yeah, just that's where you can make anybody a moderator that you want to.
Oh, well, yeah, because I got cool command. Yeah, so yeah. I didn't know well, like I said, Tommy Jean actually helped me with this because I was trying to go into the I thank her for helping me. Thank her for helping me because I thought I did it all wrong.
No problem, man.
Yeah, yes, brother. So heck, I even got Mr. O up here. So there you go. But yeah, man, I appreciate you for stopping by. And I've talked about mental issues, but brother Nate up here, we can freestyle anything up here. So if you got something, Bring it on here. Well, I'm going to keep it hot over here too, because I know you got some stuff to talk about. And this is getting warm for your show tomorrow.
Well, I got a problem, to be honest with you.
What's that?
Yeah, do you remember the stream I did on hold on a second. On is voting ID racist?
No.
Yeah, they gave me a community strike for that, for misinformation.
What?
Yeah, dog.
Well, we all, me, you, Sir Tice, we checked all that information out.
They don't care, dog. They don't care. They literally gave me a strike for misinformation. I got a strike. I can't broadcast for 7 days. I'm gonna reach out to Bernard. And
hey, I tell you what, though. All right, if you can't get Bernard, you come up here and you could show me how to do it. You know how we talk behind the scenes. You broadcast from here too. If you can't get Bernard, you always have a backup here, okay? Because you've done everything for me on your show as well. So
I'll definitely keep that in mind, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, man, they so now I can't broadcast for a week. I appealed it. I just got home and looked at it. They rejected my appeal, and I'm gonna appeal it again. This is disgusting. These people are so horrible.
Well, why are you on that weekday? We might as well just I've talked about psychology. We could talk about the left, because the left is really, although you just missed it. I did the princess syndrome, I did schizophrenia, and I did cognitive dissonance. Now, those are all synonymous, Brother Nate, because there are a number of people who have them, and the people on the left have them. Let's just be honest. The left does not have any idea of what reality is.
They are such horrible people. I swear to God, these people are monsters, man. Ugh.
They don't want to hear anything that we got to say. I mean, if you mention one word about the JAB, they want to. I mean, this is important too, for anybody that wants to get a YouTube channel started. We are in, I call it the throes of darkness, brother. Because, I mean, that's the second time you got hit. I haven't gotten hit yet, but you got hit because you mentioned baby number 5 on your channel, and then we were right.
Well, I played her video. That's why I got hit.
Yeah. Well, you gotta. Yeah, it's tough. Now, something you did say, and I give you credit for that. Listen to Pink Pill Lessons, and yeah, she's legit. Just like
Oh, you like her? Good deal.
Well, I gotta listen to the consistency, because we do talk about the ABW, but there are some of them out there. There are some of them out there, but like I said, Brother Nate, there are too many of them. And when I did the Princess Syndrome, there was a lot of stuff that actually connected with your videos that you did. When we talk about appearance, when we talk about speech, when we talk about television, a lot of what's going on with individuals, period, especially, brother, because you got me thinking about some of these black men. I always mention us Gen X black men, the early Gen X black men and the baby boomers, brother. They're worse. I mean, these individuals still believe in putting that cape on. These individuals, they don't care about the brothers, and I think they have taken feminism and drank that Kool-Aid as well. What say you?
Repeat that one more time. I'm sorry, man. I was typing something else. My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. I'm talking about we talk about the ABW up here, but the ABM, brother, particularly the older ones, like
yeah. There's nothing worse. I mean, again, the ABW acting the way she acts and being a tool of the left you know, she benefits from it because even though it ends up ruining her, she gets her welfare. She gets put on a pedestal. She gets told no matter how overweight she is, she's fine. There's nothing in there for a straight, competent black man. There's nothing. And you just end up looking like a female when you embrace that type of thinking.
Now, you've heard of the term schizophrenia, okay? Now, you think some of them got schizophrenia? Now, on my take, I believe that a number of people do. They got in delusions, because schizophrenia is more than just craziness. It's the delusional behavior. And, you know, a lot of information that you bring on your channel, I kind of break it down and put it in the mental health. But some of them got some delusional behavior, brother. They do. You know, and it's funny that we're all speaking the same language. We just have a different way of doing it. But in the end, when it comes to the ABM and the ABW and even some of these Karens out here and these Brads out here, particularly on the left, that's really what's draining us. And look who's running YouTube. Okay,
a woman, yeah,
and that's a bad problem. That's a bad problem, because what you deliver is straight truth. I don't know how it could be misinformation, but
yeah, man. If you I'll share it. As a matter of fact, let me show you.
Share it, bring it up.
Yeah, I'll show. Do you know how to like share stuff in?
I have shared stuff. Matter of fact, I shared stuff tonight. Now I don't have two monitors, but I have shared stuff tonight. Certainly, I can share.
All right, give me 1 sec. I'll pull it up and show you.
Let me drop the link in for anybody else that wants to come up.
All right, here we go.
Now you the pro at this, so if I get stuck,
no problem. There you go. You should see it, and if you could throw it up on the screen.
Okay. And how do I enlarge it? So
give me 1 second. Let me get there. You see at the bottom, over all the way, right under the little screen on StreamYards, all the way to the right, you can just make whatever you just pulled up the only thing they see. Okay. See that final box? It's just a box in a box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yes.
And I'll blow it up for you.
Yeah, you got to blow it up. I'll blow it up myself here. All right. I've blown it up. Yes, I can see it.
All right. You see that?
I do see
it. Says Black Lives Matter. Black folks' IDs don't matter. Policy that was violated is misinformation. And I appealed it today. They rejected it. I just appealed it again. This is disgusting. There was nothing on that stream that was wrong. I said having an ID, asking for an ID to vote is not racist. Are cops racist when they ask for ID? Is the guy that sells alcohol at the supermarket racist for asking ID? And this is what I'm getting punished for. This nonsense here. So.
Well, I don't understand what they're really looking for, because heck, it's very difficult nowadays here on YouTube to get monetized, because I can't even get monetized. Okay. And I've been up here for 5 years, can't get monetized. So
these people are fucking horrible.
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
They are absolutely horrible people, man.
But like I said, oh yeah, I was listening to and shout out to Reg, the bad guy. You know, he was talking about having their version of a manosphere meetup.
God bless him, man. Let him do it.
Yeah, I hope he does. Now he was talking about, going to a local pizza joint up in California. I mean, hey, look.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, and one.
Oh, Reg is out of Cali.
Yeah, Reg is out of Cali.
Gotcha. Yeah, Hoop Jargon is in Cali. Game Changers in Cali.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I think Bernard Riley, he's out of Michigan, I think.
Yeah, he's out of Michigan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's I don't know if he's out of Detroit or that side of Michigan or what whatever, but he has a big audience. But yeah, but what we say up here, the Luciferian left still wants to take away our freedoms, and I just don't understand how anybody could vote for the Luciferian left, like you said. It's no reason. Now, something that I have heard about, I think Minister Jap mentioned it on his channel, as we talk about Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, let me see. Celine says she had a question. In
Like,
fact,
man,
she wants to address it to you, my brother.
okay, no problem. 4-1. Can you address the question? Let me see. Nate,
Says,
do you think Gen Z men are effeminate? I've had a hard time finding a masculine man in my generation. I'll be honest with you. Generation, what is that? 20? That's 25 years. I mean, I'll advise you, like I advise my daughter, you need to start with a man 10 years your senior.
yeah,
If you're looking for a much higher probability of marriage, you need to start with a man that's at least 10 years older, a guy starting in his 30s. You know, find one that you like and who's ready for marriage. And I like the way the age dynamic is also with a younger woman. That's just me. I know 411 likes him a little older, but I like the idea of a woman, you know, because women tend to age at an accelerated rate, you know, especially if they don't take care of themselves. Whereas men age, they have a much easier time maintaining their looks. So as that guy gets older, you know, as long as he maintains his looks, he's got a woman who's 10, 15 years younger, who's not aging as rapidly because they're not the same age. And I just think you have a better chance of things working out. Also, you know, he's going to be more mature. He'll be more accomplished. And I probably would steer clear of dudes your age. You know, again, I would say 10 years. If you're marriage minded now, I would start at about 10 years your senior.
and also, brother Nate, too. You got to. Here's something else, and we talk about it. Stay clear of guys living with their mothers.
Oh yeah,
mom stories. I'm going to say that right now. The worst thing that disappoints me is the mama's boys, the son husbands. If you're a woman, these guys are going to be your downfall, because when their mother calls, and their mother could be lonely and jealous, when their mother calls and you're with that guy's going to be running to the mother like a firefighter. We know that, and
they like to flex. The moms will actually flex if they don't like the girlfriend.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they'll flex and yeah, I want him over here now. I need him to come do this for me. Yeah, man.
and and also beware of the guys, because I know what you're saying, because men in Gen Z, and when is what is Gen Z? Gen Y was millennials. So Gen Z
Yeah, Gen Z is I think 96 or 98 to I think 12 years later or something like that. I'm
yeah,
not sure.
yeah. So Gen Z, stay away from Gen Z guys. But if you're gonna deal with uh millennial guys, look at their thinking too. Um, See if they've been to college. And I beat up on college a lot because I'm a college graduate, and I see what we've always had to take in college. A lot of us take nothing but BS in college, brother. And if you got somebody who's going to college, make sure they understand what they're talking about, because you get some individuals that I call it textbook lecture. They'll sound like a professor. Some of the ABWs with degrees sound just like that. You know,
understood. I'm getting something to drink real quick.
I definitely hear you, but yeah, drop the link. Like I said, anybody wants to come up, come on up. Got brother Nate. Brother Nate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He is up. Got brother Asamu. He's in the chat. Brother Asamu, you're welcome to come on up. Anybody's welcome to come on up here because we're just gonna freestyle it the rest of the way, brother Nate. Like you do. I've talked about the topics. I've talked about the symptoms of the topics, and actually tonight, I did something I couldn't do last week, and I was actually able to share screens. I still need a little bit more work on it, but in the long run, it takes a little practice because you had to go to your extra mile. Celine says women confused. Yeah, you got a number of them that are confused, but you got a number of men who are confused too. Like some of these lefty men out there. You know what's funny with the the men in Congress, the brothers in Congress. They have the Congressional Black Caucus. How many of those brothers really have power in the Congressional Black Caucus?
The guy from South Carolina. That's about it. What's his name?
Is Tim? You mean the senator? Your senator?
No, not the state senator. The legislator. He was the head of the CBC. Hold on a second. SC Congressman. I can't remember his name. I'm about to pull it up though. Give me 1 second. Jim Clyburn.
Jim Clyburn. Oh
yeah,
I've
South
heard
Carolina.
of him.
Yeah.
I've heard of him. Here's something, brother Nate, that we've talked about, and we can address this comment here. Because you gave Celine some advice on men dating. She says a lot of young men say they want quality women, but aren't willing to put a ring on a woman. They just want sex and will leave a woman if a woman doesn't give them sex. So it leaves a lot of, I'm just going to say, it leaves a lot of women hurting and untrusting.
Gotcha. That's why you got to date older, and like KS says, you have to date with a purpose, and all that stuff is absolutely legit that he says. But yeah, you got to start older. You just absolutely have to. If you're looking for a 23, 24-year-old guy that wants to be married, that just, again, the probability game says it's not going to happen. It's just going to be very, very unlikely. And you got to have the courage to ask a guy, are you marriage minded? I'm not looking to be out here dating. I want to be someone's wife. I want to have a man's lineage. If you say stuff like that to the right man, he'll absolutely marry you. He just will.
Yeah. Now, Osama, he actually addressed a comment. He says, want a masculine man, look to a man who works in the trades.
Blue collar man, absolutely.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I actually agree with that, brother, because look at a lot of these corporate men. A lot of these corporate men, and this is just my opinion of corporate men. A number of them are insecure. In fact, they ride high on the job title, but I'd say it's a number of simps in the workforce. And this is why I would advise anybody to stay away from the corporate world, because it's nothing but politics in the corporate world. Absolutely. And I am a proponent of the skilled trades. They're not going away, and you can make a lot of money. Let's be honest, brother. In our race, the number of individuals, number of the ABWs, they put down the trades. They do. They put down the trades.
Yeah, well, you got a bunch of men raised by women who don't understand the value of a hard day's work, the feeling of accomplishment when you put something together. I mean, you're a civil engineer. You put all kind of crazy shit together, I would imagine.
Well, it's funny that you say that. It's I actually, I'm just like you. You're an insurance guy. Boy, I wish I had you around when I crashed my car up here on I-65 coming home.
Was it a total or what happened?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say it was if you had cashed it out, it was a total. I didn't get hurt or anything,
That's
but
good.
Came through some ice, and they not only now. Have you ever had to go on site about that? Let's say if somebody gets an accident.
No, I've never been called to a scene. No.
Now, when I had the accident, nothing happened because I steered the car. I knew I was going to run into a concrete barrier. And shout out to Big Mag. Knew I was going to run into a barrier. So I steered the car, and hey, what happened, Brother Nate. I mean, and it didn't cost me any insurance, but heck, at the end of the day, maybe it was a grace of God that I got rid of that car, because you want to know what the big problem I had with it? It was leaking fuel from the fuel tank.
It could be a relatively easy fix depending on what the cause of the leak is.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, things happen for a reason, and we don't always understand why. So.
Oh yeah, but and while we're on this car, there's nothing wrong with fixing cars. That is a beautiful career, fixing cars.
Absolutely, yeah. They start out, bodymen start out about 18, 19 an hour. You can work up, insurance companies here in South Carolina, they charge about $45 an hour.
Wow.
And yeah. Oh yeah. That's the hourly rate, is about $45 for body work. And about 20 to 25 can go to the body men, and the rest goes to the shop. And you can, it's hard work, but you can make a living and take care of your family depending on where you live as a bodyman. Absolutely.
Well, that's a good thing you say that, because see, a number of us, like, okay, myself, me as a civil engineer, I actually design it, but I have to go out in the field to make sure that it's being built to specifications, because Lord, if something fails, that's all on me. I'm the one who designed it. Okay. I have to, it's just like you. Okay, you out there looking at somebody's, and I salute you, brother, because I know you go into some grimy places.
Oh man, tow yards, stepping over dog mess, kicking a goat out of the way. I mean, just all kind of crazy shit. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
But even what you do is pretty lucrative, but you got to have a license here in Indiana for that.
Oh yeah, well, I'm an auto damage appraiser. Yeah, you have to have a license. So about 17 states require licenses to do this job. Other states, there's no license necessary. So it just all depends on the state. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, and got Teapot in the house.
Oh, brother Xavier.
Come on up here, brother.
Yeah. Osama had a question. Yes, sir. I got a company car and gas card and Amex. So yeah, it's cool. I got no complaints. I am ready to do something different. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. But
wow, 20 years. Wow.
02, I started with the company I started with. I don't work for that company anymore, but yeah, I went to the school in 2002 and took about 10 months, about 9-10 months, and graduated. I got dispatched to Memphis, and been doing this ever since.
Oh man, well, but that's what we haven't really discussed that. And so while we're on my channel, we probably need to discuss some of these trades, and because we're here to help the brothers out, but they're getting ramrodded by this society that tells them they need to go get a corporate job. Now, I don't have any problems with anybody who wants to work in the corporate world, but I know the pressures of the corporate world. I know the politics that you have to go through in the corporate world. I have been in the corporate world, and I, my brother, did not like the corporate world. I was happy to get out of the corporate world. I work in the office now, and I've been trying to get out of that office. And you want to get out there. You know everything when it comes to the field. Oh, brother Nate, I got something for you. Brother T-Bot, come work for me. I'll give you a truck too, brother.
I'm not mechanically inclined. I know what an AC condenser does. I know what a radiator does. I know what a alternator does. But fixing them, I can't do that, bro.
Oh man, fixing the
Working
alternator
on diesel engines, I would just fuck something up. You'd send me home.
Hey, now, fixing the alternator though, it's not a bad gig. You just have to pull the serpentine belt off, take the alternator out, check it to see if the brushes are bad. Yeah, I've had to put a few of those in. I mean,
Gotcha.
Now, this is the thing about having a dad, because I remember, and shout out to my dad. My dad is still living. My mom is still living.
That's awesome, man. Wow.
Now, my dad is 81 and my mom is 80. And I can and take notes of this, men. When your dad says something, he's not trying to hurt your feelings. He's just trying to get you on board to see what it's going to be like in the real world. I remember changing oil for the first time, and my dad was watching me, right? Okay, you got to take that bolt out when you change oil. So me and my dad discussed it and laugh about it. The bolt fell in the oil. And you know what my dad told me? I'm not going to get down there and get it. You get it. And let me tell you something. Sometimes that oil, when it comes out, it's pretty hot. My dad said, put the glove on and get it. I've done many. This is your turn to change it. And he made me actually get that bolt out, clean it up, put it back on, and change that oil. Fill it back up.
That's the problem not growing up with a dad. Your mom's not going to push you and push the limits of what, might be conceived as not safe. A father will say, get out there and get that lawn done, or get out there, get that trash. There's not a lot of consideration given to, treating a little boy like he's, made of glass or something. There's something needs to get done. You get it done. And if you're having trouble, we'll sit and figure out how to get it done. But moms aren't going to do that. They're not. I told the story. I don't know if you heard it. You probably did. When my son was in soccer, he was like 9 years old, and it was co-ed soccer. So this girl caught him with an elbow, and made his nose bleed. Right. So the coach brings my boy over to the sideline. I get off the bleachers. I go over to the sideline. He's like, "Yeah, Dad, I'm okay." I'm like, "Are you sure you're okay?" He said, "Yeah." So he wipes his nose with the forearm. Mm-hmm. He didn't know he was bleeding. He saw that blood on his forearm. He just started crying. Started going crazy. He was fine until he saw the blood. Perfectly fine. But, his face was drenched with sweat. So he just figured maybe it was sweat or something. So he wipes it with his forearm. He sees all the blood on his forearm. He starts crying. I'm like, "Look, boy, calm down, calm down." He didn't. I popped him in his face. I didn't slap him. I'm serious. I popped him in his face. I said, "You need to calm down." I grabbed him by his little shoulders. I said, "You need to calm down. You're just fine. Get back out there and you give it to him." And I wiped his face of the blood except for a little on his cheek. I took his jersey and wiped the blood off his cheek on his jersey. So after, his friends was, "Oh, you got blood on your shirt." And he's like, "Yeah, it's no big deal." I'm like, "You crazy ass boy." Fronting like it was no big deal. You were over on the sideline crying like that. But yeah, that's what a father does.
Yes.
That's what Pops is going to do,
And Pops is not going to feel any mercy for you because, I remember and I was 6 or 7 years old and was riding a bike. And you know, after a while, you get used to having those training wheels on. And Dad pulled those training wheels. I said, Dad, what happens if I fall? So you get back up.
You fall. That's it.
That's exactly, and that is a big. And did I fall? I mean, I remember roller skating. Let's go to Skateland. Fell, and I remember what he said: get back up. I mean, and what we're talking about, not talking about men don't have feelings, but we're not supposed to let ourselves be controlled by our emotions. And the problem that I see with a number of boys today, brother Nate, they are controlled by their emotions. And every time they let their emotions control them, they end up sounding like a female themselves. And that's really what the problem is.
Or they overreact and end up taking somebody's life over some nonsense. You know?
Well, yeah, well, we're approaching another weekend, and see what happens in Chicago. Didn't really get the numbers last week in Chicago, but you know, we talk about all the victimhood, and let me ask you something, brother Nate. Do you feel like a victim? Do you really feel like a victim?
I never have, man. No, I came from some bad circumstances. A lot of brothers have stories about how bad the circumstances were, man. I came from some pretty, you know, I've said my father was a hardened criminal. That's the kind of guy my mother wanted. She's told me that for decades. You know, I've never liked no square dudes. I've always loved the thugs. That's a quote from my mother. And that's what my father was. He was a fucking thug. And, you know, the uncertainty, the inconsistency of, you know, living with a guy like that, you know, a whole bunch of problems come out of it. But, you know, she got what she wanted, which is the most important thing, of course, even though she has 5 children. And, you know, now she's in her 60s. How old is she? Damn, she's 69.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom's 69, and she's, you know, no man, you know, just getting by in life. You know, I just.
So winter is coming. Hey.
Well, I think it's really kind of here for her, to be honest with you. It's.
Well, you know what, and this is why, you know, if you go back and look at the stream, while I did the video on the princess syndrome too, because a number of women have the princess syndrome where they have this attitude of entitlement. They think it's up to us to give them everything, and they're filled with a lot of delusion and magic. And when that happens, brother, they're not going to be able to navigate through the real world. And that's one. And you have a daughter. I got daughters. Saying you don't love your daughters, but I never called my daughters princesses. They're my daughters. Did not say I didn't love them, but they're not royalty. And the reason
I spoiled my daughter. I never called her a queen or a princess, but I did spoil her. Looking back, I really did. Like, I let her get away with stuff I would never let my son get away with. And
well, generally that I mean, my sisters got away with all kinds of mischievous.
Yeah, it's probably pretty common.
Well, you know what? It's because for the most part, and I do see this, we tend to keep a rap on our daughters, and we sometimes are harder on our sons. Now I understand why you got to be hard on these sons out here, because for the most part, these sons, if they get in trouble, we can't bail them out. You know, I was always told if I go to jail, my dad told me I'm not going to bail you out. He said, I want you to heed this warning. And he was serious about that. Well, yeah. And that's why, you know, we all had our fair share of trouble growing up, but we understand the idea of the real world. And by the way, I like that picture you had on at the end of your stream yesterday. Tupac, Dr. Tupac.
That wasn't me. That was Antisocial Socialite, and Celine did that.
That was funny. But you know, I want to get into that for a moment because it goes by something that we've always said. You know, a number of women, particularly in our community, they want a guy like that. They want
they want Dr. Tupac. They want a successful OBGYN during the day and a guy that's going to shoot up every place at night.
Club at night.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that ever.
Now, you know what that's called, brother? I just did that. Two conflicting issues. That's cognitive dissonance, brother.
Ah, okay.
Well, yeah, two different issues. You want and I call it two conflicting issues of cognitive dissonance because you can never meet in the middle with those two issues. They're not inclusive. They're exclusive. They're totally different. They conflict. They don't attract. They repel. It won't work because it doesn't make any sense. That's just like a guy saying, well, it might not be true. He wants a freak that's a millionaire. Well, in order for that to really happen, you know how a number of women are. They're not going to let you in their life unless you got something. Well, unless you're Mary J. Blige, who was messing around with a young boy.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they, you know what's funny? Nothing else has been said about that.
Of course not. Nobody cares about black boys, you know.
But they're still up there on this R. Kelly, and I know I heard, and shout out to Reg, I heard on his panel, and he was still talking about baby number 5 up there, and the cast of characters over there that really want to kill all black babies, all black boy babies. So the question, and that's cognitive dissonance too. Okay, you take all the black babies away. What are you going to have your daughters do?
Oh, they'll marry white guys. You know, there's just
you know what? I was getting ready to go into that.
Waiting to marry black women, of course. You know,
and a number of them are like that. And I don't go over there. Now there are a few guys that go over there, but that's just not my take. Got brother Osamu. Welcome to the panel. Got Big Nate up here, brother.
What's going on, brothers?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing great, man. What's going on, brother Nate? How you feeling, man?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Just
okay.
About my channel, you know. So.
Hey, man, that's what's up. Yeah, I was just getting in, man. How you doing, brother Leon?
Hey, I'm well, and welcome to the chat. You know, I've been trying to get people up there.
Hey, Leon, it's only number 2, man. So
yes, it is.
Get, just like we were talking about last night. You know, one of the things, and I think this goes a lot to. I'm not saying per se anybody here on the panel right now, but well, I think one of the issues we have as a people is we don't really have understanding or the desire to partake in a delayed gratification, unfortunately. And I think that also I think that's a lot. It has a lot of depth to it as far as a lot of the personality idiosyncrasies that we have as a people. You know, people from the continent, and that's a whole nother discussion. But you know, anyways, I'm just saying, brother. Yo, your channel, man. It's only the second night, man. So just
it's the second live that I've done, but I'm well over 600 videos into my channel. Now that's just on this channel, okay?
Right. Okay.
I have a second channel called the Mind the STEM channel, and that is a young channel. I have over 100 videos on that channel as well. So, you know, I'm learning some new things. Like I said, I learned a lot. You know, from Brother Nate and Brother Tim, you know, all the guys that actually do live streams. And my thing is I'm getting my feet wet, and got brothers up here to do some in-depth training. And now I have to, you know, I don't have the thumbnails that Brother Nate has or the music. That's a SK. That's a SK.
Yeah, SKC, bro.
But
Well, one of the things I'm the least tech savvy brother in this sphere. I'm not a tech guy at all. But one thing I do understand a lot, I understand numbers, I understand algorithms, and just due to my job, I work like 6, 7 days a week, and I listen to YouTube about 70, 75, literally 70 hours a week minimum. So I understand a lot of the trends and what's going on. I mean, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. I go from the Black Manosphere. I listen to a lot of podcasts about real estate and the market. Because I'm thinking about, I've been kind of toying with selling my house right now. And I'm relocating and buying a house in Cashmore. So I listen to a lot of things on stocks. I listen to a lot of lawn care podcasts, just a variety of different things. And I listen to some 80s R&B, some underground hip hop. I just mix it up. But I understand what is going to be trending. I understand the trends and the business of YouTube quite a bit, to tell you the truth. Quite a bit, because I was playing with starting my own channel, and who knows what's going to happen in the near future. But I think one of the things, Brother Leon, is, and just on a constructive side, I just don't know if you're putting yourself out there. I mean, you're such a brilliant brother, but a lot of people just don't know about you because you don't really go on that many other panels. Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense. I know Tommy Jane had told me, he said you want to get known out here. But there's certain panels like, and shout out, we got Brother X in the building.
Shout out TPOT.
Let's see, I've known Brother X for a while. Some of these brothers out here, I don't go on there because I just don't feel comfortable. Bernard Riley, I don't work my way into getting his channel.
Yeah, I told you, man. I think it'd be a good look for you.
He's got to know. He's got to get to know a little bit more about me, and I've been so used to doing regular pre-recorded videos, and the only other streams I was on before these streams, and Brother X knows it, we were on Google Hangouts back in those days.
Do it, Brother Leon. Do it.
Well, we've been joined by Brother X. What you got to add to the conversation? Hey, Brother X, I did some good information on schizophrenia, Prince syndrome.
I know. I be checking your stuff out. I be watching your stuff. Well, listening. I be listening to it sometimes.
I did it tonight, and a lot of this connects to what you all say.
Okay. And peace. What's good, Brother Leon? My man, Big Nate, Brother Big Nate in the house. What's good, Brother Osama?
What's good, Brother T? T. Hey, TPOT. Man,
yes,
you gotta real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. You gotta, man. I miss the real talk, real music, real radio. It's man. I miss.
Oh, you talking about the voiceover that I did for Obsidian?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I missed that voiceover, brother.
He doesn't run it anymore. He used to run it on his radio show. I did that for him a while back, man. Him a while back.
That was one of your best voiceovers in man, I love that. Does it. I got nothing but love for the old man, but it's just not the same when it's versus when you hear TPOT's deep, poignant voice. So
you can find my voice all over YouTube. It's all over YouTube, brother.
I was just thinking about that though, man. You got for the old man, but it was just there was something about it. Hey, TPOT, can we just hear it real quick, man?
Can you hear it real quick?
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness.
And brother, who had the Echo Box first?
Obsidian did. He did.
I remember that.
He had it first. See, I don't really do echo. Well, I do echoes because I have like echo programs and stuff for pre-records, but the mic that I have, it isn't an echo box. It's a reverb box.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not an echo. So
yeah, man, but I gotta tell you, X, I miss it, man. I mean that just kind of set it off. Real talk, real music, real radio.
Yeah, it was it was real talk, real music. You're listening to Old Man Radio. That's how it went.
Come on, Osama, get it right, man. Get it right.
Oh man! Oh man, I love it, brother. Man,
Yeah, but I'm all over the place, man. You can hear my voice in a lot of places.
I gotta tell you, man,
places.
TPOT, man, that was my favorite voiceover, man.
Oh, so that's the only one to do it for you, huh?
Why I got Brother X in the house, he can expound on this, because we've been talking, how we do on these panels. We talk about an array of subjects here, and you might understand. I just did something on the princess syndrome, Brother X, and you know what that is? It's almost like the entitlement syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, you give it, and on this channel you can go free and be who you are here.
Oh, so you mean I can cuss?
Yes.
Well, I'm a father of 2 adult daughters. One of my daughters is 23. My oldest daughter is 30. I'm also the grandfather of 3 granddaughters. I have a 15-year-old granddaughter. I've never imprinted that stuff in the girls of my family. Now, don't get me wrong, I've spoiled them to a degree, because they're girls. But like my daughters now, I mean, they don't have an entitled life. They work for their money, they got their own place and all that kind of stuff. So, I never taught them to totally rely on a man monetarily. Right. I've always taught them to listen to their man the way they listen to me. I've always taught them that, but I've never taught them that they were a damn princess. Okay, that's something I never put that in their heads, because that's not real. All right, just like it's on Disney, when you wish upon a star. Nah, I never put that, I never put that shit in their heads, because I never believed that was real. Now that they're adults, they're on their own and they do their own stuff, but they didn't come up with that whole princess thing. I guess that's why they're not entitled. I think my daughters probably rely on me more, even now, especially my youngest daughter. She probably relies on me more than she would rely on a man. I mean, she just got into an accident with a car, a little freaking fender bender that was nothing. And the first thing she did is call me crying. And I'm like, yeah, they called me crying. I'm like, well, did you call the police first? Yeah, Dad, call the cop. Oh, I got to dinner right now.
That's beautiful that she calls you first.
Yeah, man, she called me crying. I'm like, well, I hope you called the police before you called me. So, they're not princess girls. My daughter, especially my youngest daughter, she's got her own damn toolbox in her car. So, she's one of those kind of, she's one of those kind of girls. So they didn't have the princess experience per se. They have the, they have a wider girth. When they were growing up, they understood that they had a wider girth far as, what I would give them and what I would do for them, compared to their brothers. But it was never the whole, oh, I'm a princess. It was never none of that crap, man. Because I think you kind of stunt them when you do that, man, because the world is different. All right. I mean, I can give you all this crap and tell you, you Princess Diana while you in the house, but when you get outside, the world is not telling you that. All right. The world is not telling you that. The world is coming at you with real world problems, real world situations, and real world crisis. So, it's best to prepare your daughters, to do what's right. I mean, one of my daughters is married. My other daughter is single. So the single daughter, she's kind of one of those, independent, kind of girls. She's a nurse, so she makes decent money. So, but she's not the I don't need a man type though. She's not the, she doesn't want a man who's not like her old man. That's kind of what she tells me. She's like, "Oh, Dad, I want a guy like you, all that kind of stuff." So yeah, she wants a man that, number one, is competent, kind of family oriented, good with his hands, handyman type. That's kind of what she's looking for. She says that the reason why she hasn't, like really got with anybody, she said, because a lot of the men that she encounter, their nails are done nicer than hers. And she's that's what she says. That's what she tells me. She's like, "Dad, they got better manicures than me, Dad." So, she's not into that. She wanted one of them rough, rugged blue collar dudes like the old man, with the ashy knuckles and wearing a work uniform all the time, steel toe boots.
You doing mechanical and you doing mechanical work. You got scars, man. Scars all on your hands.
Everywhere. So she that's what she tells me. She's like, "Dad, they got better manicures than me." So she's not into those kind of dudes. She's just not. I'm like, well, you got to get with somebody, get married, that kind of stuff. You're not getting younger, because I get on her. I'm like, it's probably best for you to get married, and
this is the
settle down. No, my 23-year-old is married.
Oh wow.
She's married.
Wow.
She got married when she was 19.
Oh, good for her, man.
It's the older one I can't get to get with nobody. She's 30. I said, how the hell you let your little sister get married before you? Like, So
I understand that, yeah.
There is that,
Wow.
Well, this comment, I'm going to address this. Maybe you are going to address this comment too, because we talk a lot in space about femininity and I want you all to give me your honest truth, because I, for the most part, because we live in this feminist society, being feminine is being seen as weak today for a number of individuals. I don't agree with that. And I'm sure you guys don't want to agree with that. And with women thinking that, well, particularly, this is your turn, Brother Nate.
Oh, okay.
ABWs. So
being feminine is seen as being weak by a lot of women, sadly, and women are the weaker vessel, but that's because we're supposed to be moldable and I think, is it malleable?
It's supposed to be malleable.
Yeah, malleable. Yeah. The whole world's been turned upside down. You're gonna mock a woman who's warm and inviting, a woman who's feminine. I mean, everything is backwards. I mean, we're at a point in the world where boys can literally become girls. This is. I mean, we are taking our index finger and poking it right in God's eye as deep as we can. So if you're against what popular culture is saying, you're on the right track. Yeah. And you sound like you're very much the opposite of what a lot of young women are. So just stay on that road. It's not going to be a road with a lot of people on it. You're going to be alone at times, and just be prepared to be that, but just know you're doing the right thing, and you won't have 1/10 of the regrets that a lot of these hot girls have. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Absolutely, man. Because when you talk about women, and a lot of traditional women, they come from like that, that Christian Bible, theologian kind of background. And what it says in the Bible is, "He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and wins favor with the Lord." So sometimes that's usually the mistake that women make. They go out looking for a man as opposed to go out to be found by a man. And I think that's part of the problem. You got a lot of these women who are actually looking, they're deliberately looking for a man, and what they should be doing is getting themselves prepared to be found All right. Found by a man. Have yourself right so a man can find your black ass instead of running around and doing all this kind of nonsense.
Celine's white. TPOT.
Oh well, I don't mean I don't mean her. So that's who that is. I was wondering who that person. I was wondering who that person was. Grogu that be in the chat. I'm like, who the hell is Grogu? Because they be dropping money. They be dropping super chats and shit.
That's Celine for Diva.
Oh, okay, that's her. Okay, my bad. Yeah, but you're supposed to be you're supposed to be found. Good women get found by people. They get found by good men. All right. Whack ass women, they go out looking for men, throwing themselves at men. They go out doing that. That's why they
men too.
Yeah, that's why they end up with they all throw themselves at the same guys, and usually they're throwing themselves at the wrong guy. They're usually throwing themselves at the wrong dude. If you let a dude discover you, you might mess around and get picked up by the right man. Now, I'm not telling you to just sit in your house and wait and keep turning the hourglass upside down, every hour. I'm not saying to do that. But what I'm saying is that don't necessarily just be throwing yourself at men. Because guess what? Women can be discovered by men. It's not a hard thing to do. All you got to do is go to the supermarket. All you got to do is walk down the street. All you got to do is be in the library. All you got to do is just be a woman and ooze, some decent femininity, and somebody will discover your ass. Yeah, somebody will find you. They'll find you. And usually the person that finds you is probably better for you, as opposed to just throwing yourself at some dude, and leading with your damn crotch. That's not what you're supposed to do as a woman. You're not. I mean, because I come from a traditional family, right? There were 9 of us. All right, wow. five boys and 4 girls. Every one of my sisters is married. Now I don't know what the hell dudes see in them fools. But every one of my sisters is married, man. Every single one is married.
Mom and dad did something right, dog.
Yeah, because my parents were married for 54 years.
Wow.
When my dad died. So, I grew up in that. My dad didn't die until I was 37. So, I always had my dad around. He taught me how to work. He taught me, all that shit. I've told the story a million times. So that's kind of what I grew up in. And they were raised by the same person I was. So all my younger sister, I have a sister that's 4 years younger than me. She got married before I did. All right. I was one of the last holdouts. All right. And I was one of the last holdouts. My younger sister, man, she got married way before I did. She got married like 3-4 years before I did.
How many are still married?
My sisters?
Yeah.
All of them.
Wow, dude.
My oldest sister is a widower because her husband died, but the rest of them, they're still with their husbands.
Wow, man,
they're still with their husbands.
So uncommon.
Yeah, they're still with their
husbands.
One
of my sisters is married. I got 3. One of them is.
Yeah, every single one of my sisters got married, man. I'm telling you, even my youngest sister, she got married way before I did. Shit, I was still kind of, running around and chasing hoes. When she was, when she got married, I was still chasing hoes. So, I mean, it's it's a thing where, because this is the thing, when it comes to women, the amount of women that find themselves married in Black society kind of correlates with the amount of dad-led homes in Black society.
Close, yeah.
It's very close, because you figure, there's only about 20 some odd % of homes being led by a competent man, and only about 20 some odd % of Black women find themselves looking at some brother on bended knee. So there's a correlation there. All right. Now people say, "Oh, X, that doesn't mean anything." Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, is it though, brothers, that with a number of women in general, and well, let's start on the men. These men out here, are these men just very weak out here because they didn't have any fathers? I mean, I know men out here who don't even know how to change a tire. I know men out here who don't want to go to work. And this is, I mean, because a lot of things start with the men. They're men who just want to smash and dash, hump and bump. But somehow, and you guys got to answer this for me, I have my opinion. Why do a number of women keep falling for these types of guys while leaving a good, productive guy behind until she's exhausted all of her opportunities? Then she wants the competent guy.
I got a couple thoughts on that, actually.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. I was on the brother Xanatos Clutch's panel a couple of nights ago, and one of the things we were talking about was, Nielsen. They were known back in the 80s and 70s for doing a lot of. They were the ones like the Nielsen TV ratings. When shows Dallas and the Cosby Show were number one. Well, what they've transitioned into, they do a lot of data research based on social media usage, internet usage, things of that nature. And one of the studies they came out with, this study was actually back in 2015. And you got to think, this is a data company. They're doing research, so there's not going to be any kind of racial bias whatsoever. It all comes down to they have to give accurate numbers to give to advertisers. That's who's these Fortune 500 companies are paying their advertisers, so the data has to be extremely accurate. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And the conclusive evidence came out to that black women in America 2.6 times more likely to be into on social media than anybody else in this country. That's a 260% differential. And I can tell you, for all the years I was driving Uber, I was bartending and waiting tables. You'll go to the restaurant and you'll see sisters. It'll be 5 or 6 sisters. Sisters a lot. They like to go out to dinner and hang out with their girls, and it's a group of them. Half the time, they won't even be talking. They'll just be on their phone the whole time. So a lot of sisters are a lot more susceptible to what the programming is becoming in this day and age. And a lot of the programming, especially now, it's not based on productive black men. Okay, who's been the number one grossing black movie director over the last 20 years? Tyler Perry. Do you see any strong black male role models in Tyler Perry's movies that aren't emasculated? Absolutely not. I was on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure you guys all have Amazon Prime. I'm looking for a black movie. And every single one of these movies is these gangster stories where the brother, he gets locked up and he tries to do the right thing, but he doesn't do the right thing. Then he ends up killing a bunch of people. And then you look at the music, and you guys see that cover of the new Meek Mill album?
Yeah, it's cartoon figures though, right?
Nah, it's a lot deeper than that, brother Nate.
Oh, okay. I didn't look at it that close.
Oh man, you got to look at it deep and look at the messages behind it. But and it kind of goes a little back.
Good or bad, in your opinion?
Oh, it's terrible. Absolutely horrible. Okay. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's on the cover of Buses and Pit. I was in utter disagreement of the album cover. But unfortunately, what it is the media imagery, especially ever since the BET era, the music era, has portrayed black men in a certain way. And the black man who wakes up and goes to work every day and does what he's supposed to do is never championed. Even back, and it's just getting worse and worse through the last 2 generations. I mean, back in the 80s, we had the Cosby Show. We had the Jeffersons. Different world. We had Rock, Stanford and Son, Family Matters. These shows all depicted a strong black man in a positive light. Where's The Rock right now? It doesn't exist. Where's the Cosby Show right now? None of these images exist. So then around the early 2000s, you had shows like The Wire is one of the best shows of all time. You had the Stringer Bell phenomenon where it was like, I'm telling you, man, if Idris Elba was never a gangster in a suit at the Stringer Bell con, he would never been on the level he is now, because it's this appeal, combined with imagery, combined with a lot of the gangster rap, combined about a lot of things that have been getting pushed upon the people ever since Clear Channel bought all of our radio stations back in the late 90s. It's this imagery that has been propelled that is the absolute in opposition to what true masculinity is. So unfortunately, a lot of people think that masculinity is brandishing a gun. Well, you can't, and half these like people don't even who brandish a gun, don't even know how to hold the gun in the proper way and sagging your pants instead of waking up and going to work every day. So a lot of what these women are seeing, and they're getting so predisposed to all this negative media portrayal that's implementing through their minds, they don't really get to see what a true man is. And also, just especially in the 90s, early 2000s, that was probably the biggest error with the lack of fathers at home. So it's like the brother TPOT was saying, all his sisters were married. Now, TPOT, remember when you were interviewing me, you were telling me your dad was a hardworking blue-collar business owner. Yep. Yourself, you're a hardworking blue-collar business owner. And I'm going to tell you, living in the D.C. area, we have a lot of white-collar workers, but the woman who I've always been able to relate to the best, and I think the most grounded and feminine woman you're going to find out there, are women who grew up in a two-parent household, or at least had a father around, and the father was a hard-working, no-frills, blue-collar brother or blue-collar man, regardless of race. Because they seen their dad going to work every day. They can appreciate that salt of the earth work ethic to provide for the family.
Teapot.
Yes, sir.
You might need to introduce your daughter to our man here.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, I don't know, because they might mistreat her. Now I got a pistol whip them with the 50 cal. I would hate to do that to one of my YouTube
man ain't gonna do nothing wrong to your daughter. Teapot, stop it, man.
I would hate to bust them across the head with the butt of the 50 cal because they did something stupid.
This is exactly what your daughter needs right here. Blue collar entrepreneur, man.
Well, I tell my daughter all the time, that there are decent dudes out there, and she tells me all the time, she's like, well, Dad, I'm waiting for them to approach, because I've always kind of told my daughters that, they need to be found. Don't throw yourself at men and you lead with your crotch, girl. You be found. Don't you're not supposed to be out there finding men. Men are supposed to be finding you.
Yeah, but we're men out here, and we have all different generations of men. But do men really want a feminine or virtuous woman, or do they want somebody that's just slutty?
I think they want a combination of both. I think most men want a combination of both. Depending on the man. Depending on what type of man you are. If you're a man that lives in grandma's cellar, and when you're online, every 20 minutes you hear, the boiler firing over. You're that kind of guy. You'll take anything. I'm sure. But if you're a man that kind of got his shit together, you got your own money, you got your own place, you got your own car, you got a few dollars in the bank, you got your shit together, you got your head screwed on straight. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of those men would prefer, I guess, a split between, the two, as opposed, because let's be honest, man, when you see some slutty chick who that's just kind of out there, you're not looking at her saying, wow, I could see myself marrying her. You're not thinking that when you see her.
You seeing yourself doing something else, though.
Yeah, you're not thinking long term, have a family, with someone like that. If you see a chick who's got herself together, she's feminine, she's got her head screwed on straight, she appears to be, family oriented, because this is my true belief. And guys have gotten on me about this in the past. A woman doesn't become wifey material after the ring. She's wifey material before the ring. All right. You don't take a woman and you put a ring on her damn finger and now she magically transforms into a wife. No, she was a wife before that. That's what made you put the ring on her in the first place. She was already wifey material before you went out and bought the ring. That's why you went out and bought it, right? That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to that type of thing. You know, I mean, you can tell when a woman's wifey material or not,
Right.
especially now because they're two sides of one extremes, right? They're both two extremes. When you go out in the world, you can look at some of these chicks and know they're straight up hoes. Just like you can look at some of these chicks and know that they're decent, you know, because it's so extreme. You know, there's like nothing in the middle. She's either a straight up hoe bag or she's a good, solid woman. You know, there's nothing in between that. There's nothing vacillates in between that. It's usually they're one or the other nowadays, to be honest. You know, it's not going to be hard for you to decide. You're going to know what's what when you see it. You're not going to mistake wifey material for some slut, and vice versa. You're not going to mistake some slut for wifey material. It's not going to happen, man, unless you blind, crippled, and crazy all at the same time.
Shout out to Be Easy, that dude in the building, and shout out to him saying, lady in the streets, freak in the streets. Lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. Yep. Men want a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets, and that can come in marriage. But I just don't want to be fornicating. Want to be married and have fun with my husband.
Can I chime in real quick?
Chime in on that, brother Nate. I have my opinion.
Yeah, just if you need to find a church, Miss Celine, that you like. I mean, you find a church that coincides with your belief system, and get with the pastor, and make sure that church. Hold on, I got to get the doorbell. I'll be back.
Don't worry, I'll pick it up for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, go ahead, brother T-Pie.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about church girls now don't get me wrong, because I was raised by church folks, and there's some of the biggest hoes on the planet are right up in there. But notwithstanding that, if you're like a church girl, it probably would be easier for you to find somebody. You like brother Big Nate said, you get with the pastor, you talk to some of the church groups. You talk to some of the female church elders and stuff like that, because if you're in a particular church group, it's pretty easy to get hooked up. Y'all have that, what do they call it? That pastor counseling and all that kind of foolishness. Y'all have all that going on. So, it's probably easier, to get hooked up with somebody, because if you're a church girl, you probably want to get with a church guy. Right? You probably want to get with a church guy. I mean, you don't want to be a church girl and get with Lil Wayne or, a Jeezy or anybody like that. So it'll probably be a little easier. It's easier to kind of pick through the rubbish, because you're already set on the path, of what kind of guy you want to be around and what guy you eventually want, to share nuptials with. But, as far as everybody else, man, I tell brothers this all the time, man. When it comes to trying to pick a woman to settle down with, you make sure that you want to settle down first. All right. Make sure you got it in your mind to settle down, because if you still trying to sow your wild oats, man, it's not going to work out. You can't settle down and sow your wild oats at the same time. All right. It's got to be one or the other. All right. If you still want to sow your wild oats, get out there and continue to sow them. All right. And once you're done sowing them and you've got it in your mind that you want to settle down, then you start looking to settle down. A lot of brothers make the mistake where they settling down and they sowing wild oats all at the same time.
Now,
it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
T-Pot, you were raised in a church. Now, I used to go to church. I haven't been to a real church, brother. You're gonna laugh at me since 1989. Okay.
You ain't missed nothing. You haven't missed anything. You have missed
you know how long
nothing.
ago that is? I'm 56. The
You
reason
missed
why I'm
nothing.
saying, because I don't trust some of these pastors up here, because you come on. I mean, because
Yeah, I know, man. I stopped going to the church when I was like a teenager because
Jesus Christ, that's long.
yeah, so much crap goes on in there. Like I said, some of the biggest holes they should be in the Guinness Book of Hole Records is up in there. All right, they up in there. I'm not saying that all of them. I'm not saying that all of them, because there's some decent women that's in there as well. But trust me, some of the biggest holes you can imagine. Think about the worst hole ever. She's probably in church Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So
X, you was going to a church out there in Nassau growing up?
I went to, believe it or not, what's that singer name? Donnie McClurkin.
Yeah, Donnie, but he's a pastor.
Yes, I actually met him because he used to have a church in Bay Shore, Long Island, and I used to live in Long Island. So
you were living out in Suffolk and Bay Shore?
Yeah, so I was living in Suffolk County at the time.
Suffolk County, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
when I was a younger guy, I lived in Suffolk County. I lived all over New York, but I spent a lot of time in Suffolk when I was a young guy. And I went to his church before. I've met him before. When you're talking about church folk, right? And I was raised by church folk. Okay, I was raised by nothing but church folk, pastors in my family. My grandfather was a bishop, and let me tell you something. My grandfather had like 5-6 girlfriends. All right, and he was like in his 60s, and all those chicks was like 25. All right, all those chicks was like 25 years old, and the bishop was 60. All right, he was like 60 with 25-year-old girlfriends. And he had a half a dozen of them. So I mean, the church is tricky, man. It's a tricky place. You gotta know how to circumnavigate your way through the church. Why you think I left the church, man? Because it was so full of crap. I was raised by those people, man. I'm telling you, my grandfather was a bishop. He presided over like 5 or 6 different churches. He was the big man in charge. Let me tell you something. He was one of the most corrupt people I've ever met in my life. I love old granddaddy Jack, but goddamn it, he was very corrupt. And like I said, he had like 5-6 girlfriends also. So I mean, the church is very corrupt. There are good people there, but you have to find them. They not just right in front of you. You have to go looking for them. You have to kind of dig through the rubbish, to find the jewel. You're like looking through pig crap, looking for a piece of gold in pig crap. It's one of those things. You got to finger through the pig crap, then you might find a little chunk of gold in there somewhere. So
you know, Brother Peabody.
I know. I was raised in the church, man. Can't you tell? Can't you motherfuckers tell I was raised in a fucking church?
Let me ask you something. Now, when you went to church, did you see a liquor store on every corner too?
Hell yeah. Shit, 100 yards away. Shoot, a lot of people would leave the church and walk right into the liquor store in their Sunday best with their Sunday best on. When I was younger, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I used to be a runner in a juke joint. Me and you the same age. We know what a juke joint is, right? And everybody would be in the juke joint after church, including my old man. All right. And I was a runner in there because back then they would let kids buy cigarettes. So they would give me, $2, $3, $4. Oh, go down there, pick me up a couple packs of cigarettes. And because they didn't sell cigarettes in a juke joint, I run up the block, and buy them cigarettes and come back. And, they'd give me $1. They'd give me 50 cents, and I did that, serve drinks and all that kind of crap. Practically everybody you saw in church, and I make fun of this right now, everybody you saw in church, they'd be like, speaking in tongues. Guess what? They'd be right in that damn juke joint speaking in tongues, except it was more like, They go from speaking in tongues in the church to speaking in tongues in the juke joint. You know, so I saw all that crap, man, when I was a younger kid. So, I just kind of got away from the church, got away from church people, and went on out and was an infidel. And God damn it, my life turned out better. So, but I got to get off of here because I got a show in like 20 minutes. Brother Leon, as always, man, I appreciate you, brother, for having me on. Brother Big Nate, brother Osama.
Yes,
I will
sir.
see y'all. I will see y'all on the other side, man. I got to get up out of
here. Hey, X, what's your show about tonight, brother?
Tonight we're doing a show called Protect, and the word protect is actually an acronym, PROTECT. It's prepare, raise, observe, talk, educate, counsel thoroughly. We'll be talking about protecting your kids from these pervy creeps. Lady Queen Q is riding shotgun tonight, and we're going to do a little talking, in light of what's been going on lately, with R. Kelly and Polite, and now this other guy, Cameron. So we're gonna be doing that. So if y'all get some time,
crazy mess, ain't it?
Yeah,
get on and talk like that, dog.
Oh yeah, we're gonna myself and Lady Queen Q, like I said, is riding shotgun with me tonight. I think one or two other brothers want to chime in as well. So we're going to be throwing down on that tonight. So if you good folks get time, come on, peep your head in the door, and also come up on the stream if you feel like it. I will see y'all, man, on the other side, man.
Most definitely, man. Peace, brother X.
Teapot for stopping by, and thanks to brother Osama for the $10 cash app.
It's nothing, brother. It's nothing, brother. First of many, man.
Thank you, brother Big Mac, for your $10 cash app. And of course, thank you from my lovely sweet chocolate for her $10 cash app. Treats me very, very well. And, again, with what's going on out here. Now, I don't know too much about this Cameron dude. I mean, I saw him with, what is that guy's name? The dark-skinned guy. He was not the fresh and fit guy, but everybody's been talking about him.
Oh, you talking about Glendon Cameron?
Glendon Cameron. He was on the
he was on the brother the lead attorney.
I don't know too much about this Cameron now.
I didn't even know he existed, to be honest with you.
No, he has a pretty
yeah.
He's got a pretty good following. I think between all his channels, he has about 150K subs. He has some good information on his channel. But if you hear a lot of what he's saying, I mean, the brother, I think he's suffering from like malignant narcissism. To tell you the truth, it kind of ties into a lot of things you've been talking about on your channel, Leon. Because
how do you talk about sleeping with a woman in front of her two teenage daughters, one of whom is 16? 16.
I couldn't even imagine, brother.
Like what? And the 16-year-old's watching the mom do this stuff to you, and then you're nailing the 16. I was like, what? Yeah, dog.
Incest and pedophilia. That's gonna be my next live stream. I can get into that. Brother Nate, this is stuff we got to talk about, brother. And brother Osama, we got to talk about this.
No, we got to talk about it. But hey, Leon, man, and one thing I do got to say, brother, I mean, you get so PhD level. I think, I mean, because I've listened to a lot of your videos when I'm out working, and you get so in depth. I say, and it's a compliment, but it might be a slight curse. Just to be honest, brother Leon, you might get a little in over a lot of people's head. Tell you the truth, man, because you're so bright.
Well, that's why I try to break it down in the layman's terms, because Nate is a great orator, and he says some words up there too. I mean, so, but we have to break it down,
right? Okay.
where we can all understand, because these are important, because all this stuff is happening out there and it's coming before our eyes. And if we blink, we could end up in, not us, but a number of people could end up in this. And with child sex predators out here, used to watch Dateline and How to Catch
a Predator. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that show? And
yes, I remember that.
And you know, the funny thing about it is there are people out there in some of these dating sites. They got a lot of these child predators on there, and you don't know what you're getting into. This is why individuals need to be careful when they're even going on Instagram. You could be getting catfished up there. You never know. But you know how a number of guys are too. Too many guys out here, and I've said it on your channel, Brother Nate, and I'll say it here on my channel. Too many guys are too hard up. They don't have that discipline. And when they don't have that discipline, number of these guys will fuck anything. I'm telling you, especially black men. And I hate to say that. And that's bad, that as a black man, we can't see, many of us can't see outside a piece of pussy. That's real bad. Now, we can talk about different things, but the majority of the conversations, like it's real barbershop talk, and I've been in so many of these barbershops. What do they talk about? They'll know the statistics on football and basketball, and they talk about pussy all day. But you can't talk to them about politics. You can't talk to them about economics. Now, Brother Osama, that's probably over some of their heads because they don't get into that.
Yeah, I will. I mean, the way, okay, I will say one thing. I've noticed in the last few years, the Machiavellian personality traits have taken on. They've gained massive traction on YouTube in the last 5 years. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've done extensive study, not quite as much as you have, but I've done a lot of studying on the Machiavellian personality traits as well. And it's just so much information out there on YouTube. And to be honest, it's really starting to catch a lot of traction in Black YouTube as well, which is a good thing, because I think just due to a lot of different things going on, different intangibles, I think Black people even suffer from a lot of more of these Machiavellian personality traits than any other group of people in the society. And I think America in general, by far and away, has the highest degree of people with Machiavellian personality traits. A lot of that just goes back to it's crazy I'm gonna say this, but a lot of it goes back to just sheer capitalism, because in a capitalist society, everything is monetized, unfortunately. I think a lot, and I read somewhere, America has only 3 to 5% of the world's population, but they have over 35% of the people on SSRI drugs in America, on the planet.
A lot of crime here too, brother.
Absolutely a lot of crime.
These are developed countries, Canada, Australia,
right? No, Australia, Canada. They have almost virtually New Zealand, most of Western Europe. There's virtually very little to no. I mean, there's very little to no crime. And one of the problems with capitalism is you have to have an extreme rich. You got to have an extreme poor. There has to be some kind of equilibrium there, unfortunately. And it's a negative detriment. It's also, for instance, the food quality in America is just so much subpar compared to most other westernized nations, because a lot of these big corporations, they have the lobbyists to pay them off. But one of the biggest problems is one of the biggest lobbies over the last 25 years, by far and away, in the 2000s and 2010s, they had the most profitable stocks on Wall Street was pharmaceutical companies. And pharmaceutical companies, their whole goal is to sell these pharmaceuticals at exorbitant rates. And that's one of the reasons why America is just overdiagnosed with everything. A lot of these kids, they don't have ADD. They just need to be outside and playing. But then all of a sudden they get diagnosed with ADD. They start putting them on Concentra. They start putting them on Ritalin. And before you know it, man, these kids become either zombies and they don't really learn how to think for themselves. And it's just everything in America. They try to monetize everything in America. And there's going to be a breakup of society when you try to monetize. Everything cannot be monetizable. I mean, they could solve a lot of the problems with crime, but unfortunately, brother Nate and brother Leon, the criminal, the criminal justice system in America is literally a trillion, not a billion. It's a $1 trillion industry. When you think of all the cops out there, all the defense lawyers, all the security guards, all the money that goes into research and development, it's insane. All the probation officers. Other countries, they don't have nearly the amount of money into corrections per capita. I mean, not even close. Not even close. But yeah, it's a very it's a structural issue that doesn't get talked about enough in these spaces. And
brothers, I have actually on my Blog Talk radio show, and
yeah,
you can go back and look at a few of those. I've actually talked about the dark triad. If you're familiar about the dark triad,
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, good, because I might have to revisit that, because everything that Brother Nate talks about and Brother Trey, what they talk about in Teapot, actually, see what I do. I'll hear their social issues, and then I'll go ahead and plug in the behavioral issues, because that's my niche right there. And then I associate it with what they were talking about, because essentially that's really what's going on, because you got to look at people's minds. And when we deal with the dark triad, we deal with Machiavellianism, and we deal with narcopathy and psychopathy. Those are the three areas where Americans stand. And those three areas are a big problem, because you do have a number of individuals with money. You even got poor individuals who think they got money. They have narcopathy, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. They do. And a number of women and men here in this country, they got it as well. And this is where you get individuals who think they got power, but they don't have power. And Brother Nate, you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Because you got people out there thinking, because they have degrees, they have a car, they have a house, they can throw a lot of money out there. They think that makes the person. No, it's what's in that mind. Because once your characteristics are gone, you're just a body, and that's the big problem. And yes, on my channel, besides the social issues and the political issues, I will continue to talk about the mental issues, because they're not a lot of people talking about the mental health aspects. And guess what? You don't have to be a mental health professional to study this, because there may be times where you have to be your own doctor, your own lawyer, your own mechanic. And this is what people don't know. And there are other things out there too that affect people. Like, look at the food we eat. Look how much chemicals put in there. Most of the food you're eating is GMOs now, genetic engineered food. A lot of yeah.
They're trying to keep people from buying heirloom seeds.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're trying to keep people from having access to heirloom seeds. An heirloom seed is a fruit that you can regrow from the seeds in the fruit. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, but you have some states, legislators are working to ban them from people being able to buy heirloom seeds. This is how horrible this system has become now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But Brother Leon, I mean, do you feel like I think a lot of the high degree of narcissism that we have in American society is, one of the things with a lot of the great things about capitalism, one of the drawbacks is it has there's a lot of competitiveness, and it derives a lot of competitiveness in society. You look at a lot of the more socialized countries, and people have more of a common goal to work for the country as a whole, and work more with their fellow man. But in America, everybody wants to be at the top, and while that competitive drive it takes a foray into a lot of creativity, and business development and things of that nature, there is a certain degree where it causes people to have a more individualistic mentality, and they want to do for self by any means necessary and achieve these foregone goals that Madison Avenue or just the status quo tells you in the society that you should be striving for. I mean, how do you think that plays into the part?
Well,
Well,
real
Go
quick,
ahead, brother Nate. You can address that.
well, I want to know from Abdul, is it a net negative or a net gain? This level of competitiveness, in your opinion?
Honestly, I would say pound for pound. Wow, that's a tough one. Okay, I would say if you take it back to, I would say in this day and age, it's starting to become kind of a net negative.
Really? Wow.
Well, yeah, in this day and age, in 2021, I would say to get, in the past, when it wasn't as quite as extreme as it is today, I think it was a net positive, but things have changed a lot in the last 20, 30 years. So it's at this point, I think it's starting to become a net negative because it's getting to a point where you have so many Americans who don't want to do things I mean, you have right now, brother Nate, where the salaries are getting higher than they've ever been, but we have a 9.2 million job deficit right now because a lot of people think they're too good to work a regular job, and that has to come. That's a lot of that has to do with this dogmatic pride that I think I deserve this, I think I deserve that. You're seeing it where the marriage rates are just falling to the tank because all these women think I deserve more. So there's a lot of what's going on in America. I think for the history of this country, it was a net positive. But I think in this last half generation, it's starting to become a detriment because it's going off to one extreme where people aren't really trying to work together in a synergistic fashion for society to rise as a whole, because you cannot do things as individual on a solo mission. So I think it's getting to the point where it's getting to, I'm not going to say it's the point of no return, but at this stage in the game, yeah, the me attitude, this prima donna attitude that prevails in America this day and age is starting to become a huge detriment to society, no question about it. So I'd say as of right now, it's a net negative. I would say in the last 300 years, it was definitely a net positive.
Interesting. I will say I see the lack of people wanting to get into the job market. It's a sign of a lack of competitiveness. To be honest with you, these people not wanting to go to work, men have lost the drive for better. So much is given to people. Everybody gets a trophy. Why even if let me just finish this right quick.
No, my apologies, brother Nate.
No problem. If being number one doesn't carry the weight that it used to, why make that much of a sacrifice to become number one? Again, everybody gets a trophy. Being number one doesn't carry the it doesn't carry the same amount of purpose that it used to. You don't get the recognition anymore because people look down on the winners. I mean, why should especially a black child go to school and bust their ass in school? They're going to get ridiculed 90% of the time. It's like it's a sign of everything being backwards. So, I definitely see where you're going. I just,
right.
I see that as a lack of competitiveness and people resting on their laurels, people not realizing how important it is to just for a man's nature to go out and skin your knee up and crack your head on the ground and, go through those difficulties. And you don't even know what kind of man you are until you get tested, until you get hurt. How are you going to react to adversity? And our society now is built to keep people from experiencing adversity. But no, I definitely see where you're coming from, though. I see where you're coming from. Just
right,
difference of opinion. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, actually, Big Mag just got in, man. So I'm gonna let him talk.
Big Mag in the building. Big
Mag, what up?
What do you have to add to this conversation?
Hey, what's up, people? What's going on? Good evening, Nate, Leon.
What's going on?
What's up, Big Mag?
What's going on, brother?
Yes, I had to come on up here. In the last string of the conversation, I think that there is a lack of competition in the areas that are needed. Like echoing what Big Nate is saying, competition is what breeds the best and the brightest. That is the cauldron that we must all go through in order to find our true worth. We have, and it goes back again, on Bernard Riley's show this week, that whole mouse experiment. And I was sitting back looking, listening, man, it's people don't understand that if you give a person everything and you take away their desire to do for themselves, all you're making is a fucking robot. You're making a robot. You're just making a glob of a fucking existence that's going to continue to consume, get bigger, maybe not physically, maybe egotistically, but just gets bigger and grows to this fucking horrible thing that can't sustain itself. Participation trophies. I remember when all of these things how in America, all these things started shifting over a decade ago, 15 years ago. And like, everybody's not going to win at every task. So they dangle this carrot of, oh, you are special, you are unique, and you deserve everything in life. But ain't nobody pulling no fucking carts. You know what I mean? You don't get rewarded for just simply being. People with a lot of resources who are well adjusted, they know that you just can't give your kids everything. You're going to take the desire out of them.
Exactly.
That's why Warren Buffett would not give his fucking kids the money. He's not giving them the money. He'll give them the means and see what happens.
That's why I don't mean to interrupt, but that's why, like, a generation after a very successful couple, you'll have the children who tend to do well, but their children are usually spoiled, drug addicted degenerates.
Exactly,
because the family gets comfortable.
Yep.
There's no struggle. There's no nothing.
Yep.
Folks can do drugs and everything else because everything's covered for them.
That's true. And just like Big Mac said too, in this country, the mental deficiency is definitely glaring, and we're not paying attention to it because you have a number of individuals out here, and grown folks, getting tattoos and piercings. Now, what does that have to do with it? Has a lot to do with it because, me, when I see somebody with a bull nose or a sleeve of tattoos.
I don't mind the dude, really. I'll be honest with you. I don't mind the dude with the tats. It's the females that blow my mind.
Yeah, with that. But let me real quick. Before Elijah was born, I had a photography business.
Yes.
That had started building up to, really knock down some bread. The worst thing in the world, and we would sit around, there would be myself, the DJ, the planners, everybody. When we saw these brides with these fucking tattoos, it was the most horrible. Your wedding pictures, in my eyes, are fucking destroyed. There was this one fair complected black woman who had a collar tattoo. She had the fucking nerve to ask me if I can Photoshop the tattoo off.
Wow.
I mean, that's just, I don't want to sidetrack the convo, but
that's part of this mental disorder stuff, though, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've heard in corporate America for how long, in the job market for how long, what visible tattoos, what they do to the image.
Exactly.
But then again, this cancel culture, fucking everybody all inclusive generation that, oh, you discriminating against me because I got this, blah, 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 blah. Fuck. Are you kidding me?
And I got my woman had no I wouldn't accept any tattoos. And I'm glad even for Celine, she doesn't have any tattoos. And yes, keep it that way. You will make yourself more unattractive with a bunch of tattoos. In fact, I worked in downtown Indianapolis, and I saw this white girl go in there, and this woman looked hideous. And I was on the phone with on Regina about it on my way into work. I said, man, look at this girl, man. She had 2 sleeves of tattoos. And I'm like, who in the world? Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody already probably been up in that, but it wouldn't have been me. But the tattoos, when you have tattoos, what your image, that's an image.
Well, you know, you see, tattoos, there are certain lifestyles, there are certain things that it's apropos. So you can be who you want to be and live how you want to live. My big thing, what I don't like is how what you choose to do and how you decide to live should be thrust upon the way I choose to live.
Exactly.
So if you are a bike mechanic and you own a tattoo shop and you guys are going off to Sturgis, hey, do your fucking thing. If you're a black woman and you know you have tattoos and you know maybe you're what do you call those performers when they do these live performances, whatever it is. But if you think that you're gonna go to the boardroom with
the mayor's ball or some shit, no.
Thank you. With Pookie's name tattooed on your fucking neck.
No.
Oh man.
Like, how do you think that is supposed to work? But you want to push, but you want to push this whole inclusive agenda thing. Oh, well, you discriminate. You don't like, you can't have this is my life. I choose. Yes, it is your life. It is your life. But if I'm a chicken farmer, I have no right to all your fucking beef.
That's right.
And plus, it's the same thing with weight in these women.
Yeah.
Bumble stating you cannot request a physically fit woman. This is absolute insanity.
Yes.
Now, brother Nate, I don't kind of lost me there, and don't think I'm ignorant. What in the world is Bumble like?
Bumble's a dating app.
Oh, is it like Tinder?
Yeah. And
I never even really heard of it, and I don't.
It's gotten fairly popular. I'm not even on any dating apps, to be honest with you. It's just not for me. Trans. You can be a mentally ill man who wants to be a woman, and Bumble will put that transformer in the group of women that you're supposed to look at.
Yeah.
You can't decline a mentally ill man who thinks he's a woman anymore.
Yeah, because
we're fat women, transformers, everybody's going in that pot of women for you to look at.
Yep.
Undesirable.
Disgusting. Dog.
We have to accept it. Yeah, everybody, participation trophy. Everybody is a winner. I was playing, my son has the Nintendo Switch. He's now 6 years old.
Gotcha.
And we're playing, so he's pretty good at the games he plays, like the Super Mario Kart and the Smash Brothers and stuff like that. So, he whoops my ass, right? He whoops my ass. So when I beat him, he tends to get upset because I give it to him. You know what I mean? I give it to him,
Yeah.
So like, you'll never beat daddy, so I give it to him. He'll get upset. And I know he doesn't understand that he's not supposed to win everything right now, but I give it to him. He understands. He's starting to get it. But I give him other examples that no, Elijah, you can't win at everything, but when you keep trying and you win and you deserve it, that's the best way to win.
Absolutely.
And when he wins, he'll tell me, he'll regurgitate these things that I'm telling him. So that lively competition is what I need to instill in him early. I need to show him that, and with lacrosse, he wasn't the best in doing it. There were some kids doing like tricks and everything, backflips and throwing. So, you're not going to be the best with it. You just keep trying. And you point out there are some things you're good at, some things you're not good at. But it's a deterioration to think that you should have everything.
6 years old at lacrosse. Go ahead, bro.
Oh,
okay. Well, you get it. Listen, bro, you get them into everything.
That's exactly what I did. Karate, soccer, wrestling, basketball, everything.
Yes, it's going to be some. I'm going to get them into some martial arts soon, maybe this winter. And it goes. I remember John Singleton's mom. They interviewed her. She made a statement that she was. She said she was dirt poor. They ain't had shit, but she encouraged all of his interests. One time it was music. One time it was this. One time it was sports. and film was the one that really took off with them.
Wow.
So we have to, and it goes back to, again, like you were saying earlier, Leon, we have to put the children in the environment to the best of our ability. Not everybody has a stable home and the best upbringing and all of the information, but we have to the best of our ability, put our children in situations where they can build up their character, where they can flourish. That's the only way to combat this craziness that's going on out here. As soon as you leave outside the door, you're met with a world that's about a lot of bullshit. And Osama was saying, it's the end game is money. It's about it's about you being a constant consumer. Like Nate, you were saying, and like it was met with some silence. I've read this 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Monsanto and all these big companies, they are basically hijacking nature.
Yes.
You can't buy heirloom seeds.
They
There's
don't
a
want you
company.
buying them, yeah.
Yeah, when I get a pause, I'm gonna try to find that company and put it in the chat. And I was buying them before. You can't find heirloom seeds to grow your own stuff. They want you dependent. George Bush, when that motherfucker left office, he sent his daughter to Paraguay. They bought all of this land that was in the impenetrable jungle, on the Amazon river basins. What do you call it? The hydro. What do you call it? Aquifers.
Okay, yeah.
So they're buying all the resources, and we're down here at the bottom, concerned with other things. But the people with all this money, they know that money ain't gonna be shit. They are buying the resources. They
Absolutely.
are cornering the markets. They are changing the way we do things so that if we do get these shit hit the fan moments, they're always going to be okay.
Mm.
You know, like we need to, as men, we need to continually, like everybody's saying, like this space is saying, we need to build ourselves up. Because once you get, and I'm a strong believer in self-actualization. You know, Abraham Maslow pyramid of hierarchy.
One of Maslow's
Yep, the hierarchy of needs. You know, people don't understand the basic needs are met. You can't ascend to the next level. We have physiological and sociological needs. We have emotional needs, and they must be met in a healthy manner in order for us to progress to self-actualization. Now, they're not static at all times, but if you have, when you're an infant, if you're fed properly, nutritiously, you have the home is proper, you have the heat on, you know what I mean? When you have belongingness, which is that having chores, having tasks. Oh yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go. Pull it up. Oh yeah, let's expound.
Hierarchy of needs, yes, sir.
Yeah, and every behavioral scientist knows. Yeah, go to one that you can really see the colors of the word. I can't see shit, but you know, you get me if I need correcting there, Leon. But yeah, we need to. You see at the top, transformation. Well, basically at the top is the self-actualization part, where we all know, we see the examples when a family is doing good, wherever they are on the socioeconomic level, wherever they are, if that family is doing good, the children of that family tend to ascend in this hierarchy of needs and become greater people. They become the best people they can be. So I say that to say that you can't attain a certain level of thought if your underlying needs haven't been met in a healthy manner. You become stagnant. There's a dereliction when you're caught in the level of trying to be accepted, having responsibilities and accomplishments, having the love and consideration, of your family, having emotional connection. You can't get your mind right. That's why you look so many examples, everything is to build the character up again, just like the army. Just like you join a corporation, they have you start at the basis to learn the fundamentals and then you go up. Just like sports, you have to learn the fundamentals of everything before you can become the best player that you can be. And these things are not paid attention to. We're caught in the immediate gratification. That's why they push this bullshit about participation trophies, because they know it leads to stagnation. It stunts the mental growth of an entire society if you allow everybody to be the same motherfucker. Little Big Nate says it. It's a mental illness to think that a man can be a woman.
It is, man.
All right.
You're
All right.
encouraging people to live in complete opposition to their biological design. This is insanity. You will never be successful living in a war with yourself physically.
No.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be engaging in these behaviors as a man with a man, woman. No wonder the suicide is rampant. No wonder 40% of these transformer people take their own lives.
Yes.
40% of them
Yes.
terminate themselves.
Yes. Because
And
they
you want to
get-
encourage this shit.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
And look at it. They can't get past the level of self-acceptance. They can't get past the level of the community's acceptance when you look at that diagram. So it's mental health. Like Nate's saying, it is mental health. This is the prime issue. We need as proper men, we need to create our households where our family can flourish. And it's not just all about the kids, it's about ourselves, it's about our mate.
Absolutely.
We constantly go back and forth in revolutions and new put-upons when it comes to self-actualizations and anything. So it's constant work. It's not static.
Can you imagine if we had an actual partner in this though? I mean,
yes.
So few black men have an actual partner during all this, man. I don't care how good the black guy is. It almost like it doesn't even matter, man.
Yeah, well, that's what we're faced with. That's why we are where we are. We don't have the partners. And I'm going to be fair because I want to put a stick of dynamite up Pookie's ass too.
Yeah.
No
when
doubt.
a good woman gets when a good woman gets the bad man.
Yep, that happens too.
But does she want the bad man though, Big Mag?
Well, again, there's that stage that all women go through. Like if you look at Jordan Peterson's work, he was saying how at the height of fertility, most women want the 4 archetypes of men to conquer with their femininity to basically not how you say satisfy themselves, but to make themselves feel worthy. So you have the bad boy, you have the rugged, you have the millionaire, and I forget the other, but it's basically 4 archetypes. So and notice what's playing out in Black America. So they know it's hardwired into them to know that their most value is that femininity, it's the ability to reproduce, it's the youth and strength and beauty. So all of these things, they know that the human race values those. So when they are their most valuable, they desire to somewhat conquer the 4 great archetypes of men. So it's about making the best of them meet with the best of men during their formidable years. So what happens is, because we all have this upside down society today, they can only see the bad boy. They don't see the successful, or like the Prophet of Thought was saying how the humble blue collar worker, those dudes, they don't see that. They're stuck on just the bad boy image because, as Osama was saying, the images that are put in front of us for the last generation is the bad boy is the best boy. So they can only identify that one bad boy thing. So they get stuck in that. We have 50-year-old women who still want bad boys.
I know, yeah, it's insane, though.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to, and there's no one to tell them, hey, listen, that motherfucker ain't no good. You got to get this type of dude. Families are not there to show that. Families are not right. Families are not there to show.
You know what, though, Big Mac? I will say sometimes you try to tell a sister something, because I even try to tell even my own sister. She was raised right, 2-parent household, had a father around, and for whatever reason, she always just likes these. She always had an affinity for these 5% nation rapper types, even to this day. She would meet a good brother, and I mean, she has a master's degree and everything. She'd meet a good brother, and a good solid man who goes to work every day, just didn't turn her on. I don't know what it was, but then also what it is with some of these women too, these educated women, when they get a brother like ourselves who has her own mind, has intellect, has a certain wherewithal to act a certain way, has a high degree of productivity and masculinity, they also know that they can't really tell us what to do, push us around. You'll be surprised. A lot of these pookies, they might appear to be have a certain decorum of masculinity, which is actually in total adversary to true masculinity. But these guys can be controlled a lot more. You get a lot of these women. They just have a high. We got to be honest about something else too, man.
All right. Well, we're about. I'm a little past where you were last night, Nate. We're almost at the 3.5 hour mark.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, I
Hey,
want everybody just to give me their conclusion on what they've heard tonight.
well, you know what? I want to let brothers Nate and Big Mag go ahead of me, so I'll start off first, man, because
Okay,
these two brothers are definitely better speakers than I am. I mean, first off, excellent. I mean, to only have your second show tonight, Leon, you were absolutely killing it. You were just able to go on at ease, and the words were just flowing out of your mouth. So I want to say, give you big ups and a big salute to you.
hey, thank you, my brother.
So, excuse me, I say that with all sincerity. And it's good it's good we talk about these Machiavellian personality traits. I'm really glad that in the last 5 or so years they're starting to come to the forefront of American society, and especially Black American society, because these Machiavellian personality traits, especially narcissism, is something that it's been a huge issue in our community as a whole. And just for these things to get put out to the forefront and for more people to be exposed, excuse me, exposed to the dark triad personality traits, it's a net negative, it's a net positive, and it's a net win. And I'm glad you're able to illustrate it in the manner that you did, because this is kind of just at the ground floor, and it's like I said, it's good that these things are getting brought upon more, and the more it gets brought to forefront, it's gonna come full circle, and a lot more people who suffered at the hands of people who have these Machiavellian personality traits will be able to come to some kind of conclusive wherewithal within themselves to realize that it wasn't really just them, because there's so many people out there they've been the victim of people who display dark triad personality traits, and a lot of people, they didn't really know where to go. But with all the information out there, it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm glad you were able to illustrate it today. And I'm looking forward to more of this information distilled in only the way you know how to do. So I want to
be on next week's video where I'm gonna put a little Machiavellianism. We're going to get into the incest and the pedo. So we're gonna dig deep. So
okay. Hey, Leon, you ever thought about maybe just doing like some 10-minute shorts on some of this stuff too, for the people who they might not have the attention span that esteemed brothers.
You know what? I'm glad you absolutely. I will go back because I know my videos can get rather long, so I will do some 10-minute shorts on this, and I'm working out a schedule because I'm in the realm with Nate and trade him, so I'm trying to when Nate's not broadcasting, I'm trying to fill in that day, and then Teapot, so that way you're getting a taste of everybody in the circle here.
Hey man, that's a beautiful thing that brothers are starting to work in a synergistic fashion, and we have this teamwork effort that we all want everybody to rise. So, but I don't really have anything else to say, man. I just want to say, brother Leon, pleasure that you. I'm so glad that you're finally starting to live stream. It was an honor to be on your panel tonight, and brothers Big Mag and brother Little Nate, man, it's always a pleasure to be on the panel with esteemed brothers like yourselves as well. And with that, oh man, always a pleasure, brother. So with that, I'm out, and everybody have a wonderful night.
Oh, you too, and thanks for coming up, my brother.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to say Osama said everything I wanted to say and a little bit more. Again, I'm just glad that the ideas are being touched, discussed, pulled apart, and examined. We need it in the space. You know, I'm relatively new to the space. I would say, you know, thank
Hey,
goodness.
Big Mac, you got a channel?
I actually, it's not a channel. I put up one video about
Okay.
a horrendous fucking boat pump, a pump on my boat. That's about
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
I was so damn tired. I had to make a video about the failure of this fucking pump because it would have
Okay.
at least it could have sank my boat. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, we are getting into areas like shout out to brothers like Obsidian or the forefathers and forerunners of the space who I think that were introducing some ideas that people just couldn't catch on to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to Nate with his various angles, intellectual angles that are basically chewed up and presented like baby food so that people can easily grasp. You know, we have like shout out to you for I see the journey you're about to take on. And I sit back and like, oh boy, I wish it was. But I'm gonna give them love and support and try to do all I can to help because we need it. We need to get back to our families. We need to be proper men. We need to not be shamed for it. We need to get back to being proper women so that we can have proper families. You know, people are starting to see, man, fuck that out of wedlock childbirth shit. You know, hey, Pookie and Bonquisha, they're gonna do their thing. We ain't got to pull them up on the boat. We ain't got to pull them up on the boat. Cut the ropes, send them motherfuckers afloat. And that's me. But yeah, Wasama said everything I wanted to say and a little bit more. So I'm gonna sit back and listen to you two. Thanks for having me up.
All right,
thank
brother.
you, man. Thank you.
Drop you down. Thanks for all of your information, my brother. And keep coming by this panel because we got more hard-hitting content. All right, brother Nate. Just
a little
like
reversed, ain't it?
It's a little
bit of reversal.
Hey, you bring that hot fire, and I appreciate that hot fire, man. The floor is yours. You got the mic right now.
Well, I shot you a cash app, bro, just to let you know. And yeah, man, wow, it's your second time in. I'm glad I was able to get home earlier and hop on, man. I greatly appreciate you letting me up. You know, great conversations. It's kind of hard to think about what we did before YouTube, like just wasted time sitting in front of the television.
And thanks for that. Thanks for that $15 cash app.
Oh, no, my pleasure, man. No problem. I just another voice. Congratulations, man. Yeah, it's gonna start small and just keep pushing. We need more men in this space. We just need more people. We need larger audiences. People don't need to be worrying about what time they broadcast. If you've done the work and you have a group of people that appreciate the product you produce, man, that they'll be there to listen to the show. We just need more men in this space. We absolutely do. And hopefully what we do in December, we'll have ideas on how to get those additional men in this space. And
we need more like-minded men like us, brother Nate. No lefties in here. I mean,
no, thank you. No, thank you.
Get rid of that old guard.
Yeah, well, the old guard can do what they want. Just go do what works for you, man.
Right.
This works for us.
Yes, it does.
The way we think, our belief system, it works for us. All these dudes make great money. These men's lives are a testament against what you hear coming up from Baby Mama number 5 about black men and all these other angry, bitter, ruined black women. I'm not saying black women are that, but black female YouTube is a pretty terrible place.
Oh yeah.
They seem determined to just ruin these women. As many ABWs as they can ruin. That's what they're set out to do. And I'm trying to appeal this nonsense. If not, you might see me on Bernard Riley's tomorrow night.
Well, like I said, I'm here in case you can't.
Absolutely, I'll keep that in mind also.
Yeah, because we got each other's phone numbers, so I apologize. Happy
Absolutely.
to you because you do good content, and I don't see what the big deal was.
Yeah, dude, it was literally the one about voter IDs being racist, and they gave me a strike because it was misinformation.
But it was right. We all
It's just horrible, dog.
yeah, the lefties, and eventually one of these days we're gonna uh have to get our own media. Have to get our own.
Yeah, man, we do. We absolutely do. And nah, man, great work so far, so good. Just keep pushing. You know, main thing you want to do is get a schedule. You know, so people, even if they're not getting your notifications, they know when to look for you.
That's
And
right.
you know, before you know it, you'll build your audience, man, and you know, you'll be another voice added to this group of black men speaking for us. We don't want to speak for anybody but us. I ain't claiming to speak for black women. I ain't claiming to speak for nobody but those who say yes. This man can speak for me.
That's
You
right.
know, and that's all I want is us to be able to speak for us. I don't want Don Lemon speaking for us. I don't want Stacey Abrams speaking for us. I don't want any of these people speaking for us. You know, I just want us to speak for us. That's it.
We don't need any of that. So, but I'm happy you came by because you got a big voice here, and like I said, then I do think well, actually, Tommy Jean was the one also that influenced me. And if it hadn't been me coming to you, I wouldn't even exist because what happened to me, brother, I was just doing regular videos, but I wasn't out there. Although I'd been on for a while, I mean, I was stuck at 1,600 subscribers. I mean, I'm gradually moving up. I'm over 1,800 myself, and
Good deal. Good deal.
something that you mentioned too. When I looked at my analytics, the women are listening to us, and here's how I know because I actually got mine was like 15%, 16%.
Wow. Good
Yeah,
deal.
well, I've been on a while, so and yours was a lot too. So people are listening to us, but see, we're a little bit more. What I'm finding out, a little more diversified over here.
Yes. Yeah. Our channel, you know, we got Latin Patriot, Irish
Shout out to her.
conservative, yeah, all kinds of folks, and they're welcome. They're absolutely welcome.
Welcome to come up. Celine, I mean, she's here, and antisocial socialite, and
Absolutely.
and and it's actually a pleasure doing YouTube because I almost quit doing it. So
Oh wow.
yeah, but
Well, no, I appreciate you coming up on my platform, man.
and
You
I'm
know,
always
you're
supporting
a
you.
fixture now, so you can't stop.
Oh no, I love coming up on your panel, but everybody in here, I thank you all for coming up on my panel too, my brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was it, man. That is it.
All right, brother Nate, I'm gonna drop you down and get on
Thank
my
you,
monologue.
sir.
It's about 10:08 here, but once again, salute to you, my brother, and everybody. Check out the Little Big Nate show.
Thank you, sir.
Around
Salute.
here, my mods, put Little Big Nate's channel in the chat for me, please. Now, again, I thank the channel, I thank the chat, I thank everybody who came up on the panel this evening. And mental issues are definitely a problem. And what I'm here to do is give you a little insight on what's going on with mental issues. Tonight, we talked about the princess syndrome. We talked about the cognitive dissonance. And we also talked about schizophrenia. It's very important because these issues tie into one another. And just like Brother Big Mac said, there's a lot of people out here with mental deficiencies, and I'm paying attention to it. Had a young lady, Celine, come up here, talking about tattoos. So here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show, I'm getting a variety of people coming up here with good ideas. This is grown folks radio. We don't argue here. We're respectful here. At the end of the day, we have the solutions, but we have to be able to coach the solutions. You see, in the real world, a coach can be a good coach, but if he doesn't have the talent, he's never going to be a winner. The players that you have can always be good, but if you can't coach them up, you're always going to be a loser. The bottom line here is you have to know who you are. You have to be accountable for your actions. And what we're doing in this area of the manosphere, you're getting therapy right here. Again, I am not a licensed therapist, so I can't prescribe anything. However, I can lead you to the right channel because mental issues affect all of us. And it's up to us to take care of one another. Now, think about this channel here. You can catch me right here on YouTube. And if you're looking for a little bit of science, technology, engineering, and math, check out my Mind of STEM channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and of course, math. Also, do have a blog talk radio show. 215-383-5785 is the number. I'm going to get that rolling again. I haven't been on there for maybe a month and a half or so because I've been trying to get up here by doing these live streams here. This is my second one because I just want to ask you this question as a human being. Do you want to live a good life or do you want to live a miserable life? The choice is yours. Now, if you can't find me on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, you can check me out on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler. You can also check me out on LinkedIn. Now, here's what I do. When it comes to my 401 Talk Zone radio show channel, I always put it on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler because a lot of the content is mental health content and political content and newsworthy content. Now, my Mind of STEM channel is always going to go on Twitter and it's going to go on to LinkedIn because that's more of a professional type channel. And like I said, on that channel, I talk more about complex numbers, which that's mathematics, etymology, which is a science, engineering technology, which is engineering, and of course, cybersecurity, which is technology. And at the end of the day, I'm going to leave you with this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. And something else to say. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. Again, thank you for listening. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious night. God bless you. I'm out.